Whoops. Don't know what don't know what I pressed there. Yes, guys, you know it is. You know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, and welcome on this fine evening. Sorry about that little mishap. Basically, what went wrong is I was looking for an image that I uploaded, cannot find it. So I'm in a small bit of trouble now, but I will be okay. And
It's
as
all
you
right.
can see, we've got 3 other glorious members with us. Marcelo, what's the story, my man?
It's all right. David was just looking up, 4 handsome, intelligent lads, and the image just came up. It happens, what can you say? But no, doing good in this fine sunny day. But yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it's nice and early where you are. It's not even 5 p.m. yet, so you're having a right day over there, my man. Shawnee
Nice
Boy
and
from
warm.
Spurs Talk Show. Great show earlier on. We kicked off a nice little series. How are you keeping, brother? Thanks for coming.
No, I'm good, mate. I'm glad. Yeah, glad that I wasn't doing anything untoward. You know, like when you see those people that get caught on webcams. Thought you had a cheeky 35 seconds longer than you did. And the show starts. It's good to see you, man. Good to be back with these 4 people as well. These 3 guys. It's going to be fun.
No, it will be. And Kuva, my man, Kuva Zevsky, as he likes to call himself now. How are you keeping, man?
I've just changed it again. It's the only full-time show I'm doing now. It's just Sunday evenings with Bobby Gay, but it's just an hour-long thing. Yeah, doing well. I was going to say, for those images on Google for 4 good-looking lads or whatever. What are you doing on the dark web or something?
You never know what's on Marcelo's. Oh, the images I want to upload. No, it was to do with my transfer question. So I'll just have to come up with it off the top of my head now. It's pissed me off. It's not there. But look, we'll move on and we'll keep going. Now, what we are going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, is I have a few talking points. And I want to hopefully we've got some different opinions on the panel. We'll wait and see. But I do want to talk about Harry Kane. Look, 10 years in the Premier League as of today. I want to talk about, is he disrespected in the Tottenham fan base? I want to talk about what's going on with his contract situation. Is he waiting for trophies? Is he waiting for Conte to sign a new contract? I also want to talk about basically quotes from that Conte made last year. And I want to ask the panel, I want to ask the people out there as well, has Conte got what he asked for? I also want to talk a little bit about the way we were able to change it tactically at Chelsea. Is that a good representation of our summer transfer window? We'll also be talking about Paratici's backroom rebuild of the scouting department, which seems to be flying under the radar lately. And I also want to talk about the signings of Destiny Adosia and Jed Spence. Does it represent, shrewd investment and planning for the future? Or does it represent Tottenham going back to the same old habits, basically buying young and hoping to sell for a profit? So that's what we will be talking about today, guys. I just want to welcome a few people into the stream, and then we will crack on with it. Big up Adam McFarlane. He says, we are desperate for another Romero-esque centre-back. I couldn't agree more with you, my man, but maybe someone slightly a bit taller and slightly a bit better in the air, but Romero is our best defender. He also says, I think Perisic should come in for Sessegnon, Basuma, and Højbjerg in the middle, and Spence for Royale. Interesting, my man. Look, I would say Højbjerg was better than Bentancur at the weekend. That's what I would say. Korean Bomber, big up. He says we still need a top-class centre-back and a creative playmaker. Big up, my man. We have Chris Welch says, big up the Irish Hotspur. We discussed it. The definition of insanity. Would someone please get this club the enforcer at the back we so desperately need and deserve? With no Romero, we are vulnerable. Could not agree more, my man. Dark Song G says, I would be really shocked if Casemiro goes to broken Man United. He would be going from Champions League to probably Conference League at best at the end of the season. And Marcelo, I'll pass this one to you because he is your fellow Brazilian.
I could see him going if the right money is offered to him. Casemiro is already in his 30s, right? And at this point in his career, he's already accomplished really everything he needs to accomplish. I mean, other than the World Cup, he's won everything. He's done it all. So I think in this stage of career, I think if United splashed a ton of money on him and gave him a huge salary, he would go. I could see it.
Interesting. Look, for me, I think, look, he's 31 now. You know, he's probably looking for a big payday. And like Gary Neville said at the weekend, anyone United's going to be going to add an extra zero onto that contract. Look, I think he's winding down his career. I still think he has a lot to offer Madrid. Don't get me wrong. You look at Luka Modric still going at the age he is at Madrid. I still think he has a lot to offer. But look, money talks at the end of the day.
But the difference is, I think, for Casemiro is when he plays for Madrid is because he wants to play for the shirt. He's had other options. Well, I think if he goes to United, it won't be because he's going for the shirt. It's simply for the money. And I don't know if you want a player like that.
Yeah.
I think the fact he wants to go, if it's to United at the end of the season, he obviously fancies his chances of a little bit of championship football.
Right. Look, they're going that way. They're in big trouble this year. They're in massive.
They got Liverpool. I'm gonna watch that Liverpool game no matter what. I want to see how United. I feel like that's gonna be an interesting game.
United might not have 0 points from 5 games. After Liverpool, it doesn't get any. Or it gets easier, but it's not that much easier. I think they've got West Ham after that, haven't they?
That's a tough game.
Is anyone easy for them?
No. They could be nil plow from 5 games. It would be. The chaos.
The traveling circus, and it continues. It's absolutely brilliant to see. Dark Sung G says, I'm happy with the window if we get 2 more in. And David should know in which position I'm talking about. I hope Bournemouth beats the Gunners so I can laugh my ass off. I think you're talking about a centre-back anyway, for sure. I know that. And I think it can, Dark Sung G. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it can. Look, centre-back for me, I keep saying it, it's absolutely priority. We want to take that next step to close the gap on Man City and Liverpool. We have to do what Liverpool done at the time when they were slapping teams in the league like 4-3, 3-2, whatever. Then they went inside Van Dijk, and all of a sudden they went on to win the Champions League, Premier League, League Cup, FA Cup, Club World Championships. And that's why we need a centre-back in here. Look, last night we spoke about in the back line, and I put a question to people so it was a bit fair, like who should be the leader in that back line between Lloris, Dyer, Ben Davies and Romero. I think we came to a conclusion that it's got to be Dyer. And when you look at Dyer and Van Dijk, there's massive difference between the two players in terms of ability on the ball, off the ball, in the air, and leadership. So we have to get to that level, Dark Song G. Look, Bournemouth and the Gooners. I mean, Gooners are away. I'll be honest. Look, I don't like giving them any praise, but they look okay right now. But you just never know. You never know with Bournemouth. Let's see what they can do, my man. In terms of the window, look, I'm happy with it. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me and stuff like that, but I'm happy with the window. And look, we will get into it a bit further on. I probably won't be giving my opinions. I'll just ask the boys. So I'll just go quickly on this. Look, I think we had so much to do. We were always going to be left short in an area or two. It was always going to be that case. If we were being brutally realistic with ourselves, you were probably talking about 15 signings coming in to completely overhaul and transform this squad and have a squad good enough, or good, that I think is good enough, that warrants playing at Tottenham Hotspur. And you can't, the changing room dynamics have a lot to do with it. And you can't just go and bring in 10, 11, 12, 13 players. It completely changes the culture around the club, the dressing room. It takes a while for them to embed together, get that team sort of spirit going, and also gelling together on the football pitch. So, look, I think we've done great strides. I think we acted early in the window, which we don't usually do. I think Paratici is world class. Now, I get people have reservations about his age, but he done well when he came on against Chelsea. He took a lovely corner for the assist for Harry Kane's equaliser. He had a massive effect on the game. I also like the signing of Basuma. I think a lot of Spurs fans really wanted Basuma. So I think we're happy with that. And just because we didn't go and pay 60 million, I'm happy to pay cheaper on these guys to get them in the door, to be honest with you. But I do think we've had a decent enough window so far. I think Fraser Forster coming in as backup to Hugo Lloris, so I'm happy with that. He's got European experience. He'll play in the cup games. Plus, he adds a bit of height back there, you know, from set pieces in these cup games where we've been caught out by set pieces and stuff like that. So I do think we've done a lot of good business, and I get people will be unhappy with certain areas of the transfer window. But look, that's why we're here today, to discuss and see what people's opinions are. But big up Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate support. Big up Terry Wright. Big up Craig Bowler. Big up Ricky in the house. We've got this one from THFC Till I Die. Big up Dermatron. Says, for me, the transfer window has been good. We bought well and ship out players too. We have a major opportunity to be really successful this season. Levy has backed Conte, and we not done yet. And the best is yet to come. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Spurs. Kuva, we'll give this one to you, my man. I mean, do you want to have a say on this?
Well, the transfer window. Okay. I've always stuck to the same tune on this one. For me, I can't judge it until it's finished because we had so many areas to address to this team needed filling. We have not done that yet. We've done some of it. So it's like fixing part of a leaky roof and thinking everything's fine. It isn't. We still need those players in. We're clearly now with Romero getting injured, we see just how fragile that back line suddenly looks. Even if what's his name, Longley was fit, that we're talking the other side of the three, so it's still an awkward change, even if he comes in there.
Yeah,
we could be going into the game against Wolves with a back five that looked the same as last season, without when Romero was injured. We didn't do particularly well during that period. People saying we're really strong defensively now. We're not. We're just having to play within ourselves to protect the fragile players at the back there. So I just think that this window for me is still disappointing, but it can be turned around. Oh my God, it can get turned around. Couple of quality signings in to top it all off, and everything we've done so far adds to what would become a really good window. But at the moment, we have just left some glaring. It's an opportunity missed at the moment. If we're seems to be reverting the type, in my opinion, with the signing for the future all of a sudden instead of getting all those transfers done at the start of the window. It was amazing. We thought we're really doing something here, and it's just fallen away. Reverted to type. It's for the future. It's not for now all of a sudden. And if we're leaving these glaring holes in central defence or right wing back, somewhere like that, or that creative spark up front that we could have got and we just didn't, that is a failure. That is really letting Conte down for me.
I agree with you on the back line. I do agree with you across the back line. Look, I've had my problems with it all last season, all summer long, all pre-season. I've been screaming out for a quality world-class defender in here. But one thing I will say, maybe in Tottenham's defence, I don't think it was for a lack of trying. I think they were trying Gleison Bremer, trying to bring in Bastoni, looking at Gavardiol and other options out there. And none of them moves have really materialised.
No one can get them.
For one reason or the other.
No one can get them. No one can get Bastoni. City tried to get Vardiol. In my opinion, I got to disagree here with Kuva. I really have to because listen, in my opinion, I just think, look, we have made improvement in the squad. How long have we been asking for a backup striker? Someone like in addition to the attack, right? Someone that can be used for rotation. Richarlison is that guy. And, when Richarlison came in, the quality didn't drop. When he came in for Son, or I think for Cesc, the quality of the team didn't drop. So we got someone that can play in that rotation. We got someone in Basuma who can be the next midfielder. You know what I mean? Our next, star midfielder. We got I think we got a lot of good players in. I think we got Paratici, someone that could bring experience, and that left wing back. Yes, he's not starting right now, right? It's easy to say next game, yeah, we have the same back line, but let's see in 10 games if we have the same back line. I think you're going to see Paratici play a little bit more. I think you might see Spence get a little bit more in the team, right? I think you're going to start seeing Basuma. I think that's when you're going to start seeing the new signees kind of come in. But that takes time. So in my opinion, I don't think it's been a disappointing window. I think we try to become a big club this window. We try to get the signings here and now. But I think also it's important to sign people like, Destiny. You know what I mean? Someone that looks like the bright future, the SARS. It's important to still sign one or two players for the future, in my opinion. I think every window.
There's nothing to stop you doing both, though, is there?
Yeah, no, but we did do both. We signed Perisic, we signed Bissouma, we signed Richarlison.
We've made some good signings, but
we signed Longley. Those are for here and now. You know what I mean? Like Destiny and and Spence. Those signings are for the future.
But we're talking about things like now where people are sort of estimating we still got about 50 million or so left of this transfer
but you're not
something
gonna.
like that. And then the report was Paratici was seen watching Blackburn the other night. It doesn't sound much like we're going for a Milenkovic-Savic at the moment, does it? And that's the one we're getting with. I mean,
well, that might not be our target. It looks like Conte wants a left center back. That seems like what they want. That's why we went for so many left center backs. It seems that's what he wants. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Well, we got Langley though.
No, but Longley is just a short-term thing. Like he's just alone. He's just well, in my opinion, look, Longley was only because we couldn't get Bastoni or Vardio, right? We tried to go for them, we couldn't get them, so we're like, we still, missing depth within the back line. Let's get Longley, and let's see how he plays throughout the season, and then maybe January or next summer we go again for those targets. I'd rather my club do that. Yeah. I'd rather my club do that than just spend all their war chests on some meaningless
I agree, but if we've got Longley to cover that area for now, then why haven't we strengthened in another area?
Because we're probably saving that money to get Bastoni, to get the targets we want. That's what Liverpool did when they did with the Van Dijk.
We're a lot poorer than we're made out to be, though, wouldn't it?
No, but it's not. It's not. We're not poor. It's just that that's our budget for the season. You know what I mean? But we don't want to just. It's not smart to just waste all your budget. You also want to save it for January, right? Like if you let's say Inter in January, right? Really needs to sell a player. We have that war chest to go, offer straight up money to Bastoni. We wouldn't need.
What we'll do is
January's the worst time to sign players as well, though. But
if we have a big war chest coming to January, it can make that process much easier.
Right. What we'll do is we'll let Sean in here as well. Sean, have your say on what's going on now with the Dermot Super Chat and what the two boys are saying. I mean, look, lots of different opinions. Some people reckon we've had a good window. Some people reckon we've had a bad window today. I mean, what's your general thoughts on it, Shawnee?
I lean towards Kuva's take on it. I think it started well. I was really positive in the first month. We came out of the traps real quick. And I thought we were, like it was looking like we were going to win the race. But I feel like as the summer's gone on, some of our competition have just closed the gap on, like, if you think of it like a horse race or a dog race, whatever. I feel like we've slowed down with our meaningful business that's going to affect us in the short term. I'm okay with signing players like Destiny.
Can I ask you? Hold on. I don't mean when you say the people who close the gap on us, can you tell me who? Because I keep hearing this.
Chelsea specifically. I think Chelsea at the start, literally 6 weeks ago, I was predicting that Chelsea would be falling out of the top four. I thought that Arsenal looked like they were improving. Arsenal definitely have improved, and it looks like they've hit the ground running with their new signings. The chemistry seems to have been forged really quickly. So I feel like Arsenal are more of a threat than I thought that they would have been. I think Man United are just terrible. Like their season's over before it's even started. Liverpool, I think, are at the moment at least. I think they've started the season badly. I don't think that Darwin Núñez is going to be anything like as hot as they hoped he would, at least for the first or for the here and now. And I don't think that they've replaced Mane. So I think Liverpool now, to me, are the team that's probably dropping back a little bit. And Chelsea, I think, are going to be, at least as it stands, with what they've done and what they continue to look like they're trying to do. It looks like they're really mean business as the summer's coming to a close. And Arsenal are still trying to do things. I just think Tottenham are. I agree with Cooper. I agree with that. We've definitely improved, right? Our bench looks better. We've also had a bit of a shitty, unfortunate start to the season with a couple of injuries, players not being fit. Longley, hasn't been fit since he's come in. Perisic isn't initially fit enough. We don't know what the issue is with Jed Spence. Whether he's 100%. And I think that we're better than we were. Of course, we've definitely made improvements, but has it been the wow window that I thought it was going to shape up to be thus far? No, it hasn't. We started off really fast, and I think since then we've hit a bit of a stumbling block. And there's still 2 weeks to go. But I'll be honest, like I'm torn because on the one hand, hearing that Tottenham are going after Blackburn Rovers 17-year-olds, I'm okay with doing that. I'm all for it. But I know we're going to talk later, Dave, about some of these new members of the backroom staff, the scouting networks, all those guys. If this is what's happening, all this transition in the background, then I would have hoped that someone else could go and do that job, could go and figure out whether the Blackburn kid is great, because there's only so much time left in the window, right? There's an opportunity cost. Every minute he spent talking about Blackburn or Destiny Udogie is a minute he can't be spent talking to Milenkovic-Savic's agents, or the guy Ruslan, whatever his name is, I forget his name again. And so for me, I just think it's like I'm leaning towards Kuva. I think it's been positive, but it hasn't been blowout. And I think net Chelsea have probably kicked on and improved more than us. And I think Arsenal probably have improved more than us relative to where they were. Their improvements from where they were to where they probably are, I think is a bigger jump than probably what we've done so far. But I'm still hopeful that there's 2 weeks left in the window and we can get stuff done. At the moment, I think the window's been okay. It's been okay.
Well, with Conte's quotes today in the press conference, it'd be interesting to see whether we sort of go again or whether we don't. I do actually have quotes from Conte from last season that I want to bring up and basically put the question in maybe a different way. Has Conte maybe got what he's asked for? But I just want to get some of these super chats and so I can catch back up with the chat and start bringing up chats as we keep discussing. Dark Sun G says, now that Tanga and Giovanni Lo Celso, the 2 wage wasters, are gone, we should have more money to spend on incomings and ones that can come in right away. Come on, Don, you can do it. Look, the thing is with Endon Pellet, it's a 1 million loan fee. I mean, nowadays you'd be struggling to get a hamburger for that. Then it's 30 million maybe at the end of the season.
How much of the salaries been?
Most of it.
I don't think that was disclosed, but apparently
Napoli
got a good deal on it.
Yeah,
is it okay? Well, that's good.
Yeah, Giovanni Lo Celso was a loan as well. So I think, look, this is the problem. But look, at the end of the day,
all the other clubs are poor. It's really difficult right now. I mean, it's difficult. It's kind of nasty to say that they're poor. I mean, it kind of sounds like we're privileged, the Premier League.
We are.
But we are privileged. You know what I mean? Like, it's unfortunate. Napoli, they can't make these signings like we can. And it's really hard to sell players right now. I think that's reason why our transfer window has been stalled, and that's why I still think it's a good window, because although I think it's important to bring players in, we also saw last season it's just as important to get the players you don't want out. It's just as important.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if we getting those 2 out, it's almost just as important as getting a signing in my opinion.
Look, what I do think is we've got these 2 off the wage bill now, so that will free up wages to pay somebody else. So now what we just need to sort of do is maybe get rid of the Winks, the Reguilon. You might see Papa Matasar go, Gil go. And then I reckon if you see at least the next 2 go, I do think you will see Tottenham bring in players. I'm hoping that there's maybe 1 or 2 signings left in a Stark Sun G. But like you said, hopefully Don Paratici can do it, brother. Big yourself up, my man. I really appreciate the support. Dark Sun G also says Kane and Conte are a set. If one goes, then the other does. Look, I actually do agree with this, Dark Sun G. For me, I think Kane's future does hinge on Conte signing that new contract, in my personal opinion. Look, we will get on to Harry Kane in a little bit, but I do agree with you. I do think it comes as a pair. Look, Kane was wanted out before Conte came here. Conte has changed him, basically said to him, look, stick with me with the time I'm here. And if Conte signs a new contract, there's about to sign a new contract, I think you see Harry Kane do the same, my man. Big up Dark Sun G, brother. And he also says I actually wanted a right winger for Kulu rotation, because I also think the same as you, there is no cam in the world that can beat Kane's passing range. Just need a free kick taker. Kuvi, you're nodding your head. We'll let you take this one, and then I have one from Savatalk Spurs, and then we'll crack on with the Conte quotes.
Yeah, it's kind of the same deal with getting Richarlison in for that sort of flexibility, like he can play Kane's sort of target man role as well as across the front 3. And I would have liked to have seen somebody that can play on Kulusevski's side as well, because the other part to that is it allows Kulusevski to sometimes drift into the middle. He could be a cam. He's easily got that in his locker. He's got the passing range. He's got the eye for the short pass. He's got a shot on him. He could do the role. It gives us a little bit more flexibility. And we do, many of us are saying it, we are missing that spark up there, that the game changer, the one that the Maddison type, the Milenkovic-Savic type, whoever it's going to be. Somebody that's either got goals and assists in them, or they got that bits of brilliance about them, bits of magic about them that can turn a game on its head. We're missing just that little spark at times. We're relying too much on our established players. We've done very well to get Richarlison in and back it up, but free kick taker, that's part of it as well. Perisic is obviously reasonable at it, but the Atalanta lad that we're linked with. I've forgotten his name now.
Malinowski.
That's him. Yeah.
I'm on it today.
His name keeps falling out of my head every time.
Yeah. I'll think of Milenkovic Savic, and that's it. I'm gone. I'm away with the fairies. But yeah, that kind of player, we are lacking that. So I just think you got to accept it. Nobody does beat Kane's passing range in there at the moment.
No,
he's absolutely world class at it. That's why people like Man City want Kane.
Here's where I'm at with this, boys. Is look for me. Look, I don't think scoring goals is our issue at Tottenham Hotspur. I think if I'm looking at it now, for me, emergency, it's got to be a defender, a priority over a Cam right now. If it is going to be one or the other, look, it shouldn't be. It'd be nice to get both. It really would. But if it was one or the other, if we're in that situation, it's got to be a centre back. Look, I'm not saying I wouldn't like another body in the forward area. I mean, it would be really nice to have someone different than Lucas Moura coming off the bench to look at and maybe changing the game. I really would like another option. But for me, it's got to be a centre-back. We've got the last two golden boot winners in our team, Kane and Son, let alone bringing in Kulusevski. For me, I think it's got to be a centre-back first. We leak way too much goals. But like if you are looking for that Cam option right now, if we can't get it in, looks like we will, but just say if we can't, you drop Kane back in, put Richarlison up front. There's your problem solved for me. But big up Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate it.
I think the only counter to that I've got, Dave. Sorry, I'll just be quick, Marcelo. Is it rather than looking at the position, sometimes you just have to look at the quality of the player. If Milinkovic Savic is available, you get him. You don't wait around if you haven't got that centre back. So that's going to be taken in the equation for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Marcelo, you wanted to come in there?
I was just going to say, I think the center back role is just more important because just looking back at last season, the games we lost, it was always because, teams that we couldn't break down, we couldn't hold a clean sheet or we couldn't hold, the result for a long period of time. I think if you can keep a clean sheet, you can keep it 0-0 or 1-1, and it's 90 minutes. Harry Kane, Son, all they need is one chance, and they can win you the game. You know what I mean? You just got to give them a chance to do it. And our defense, they let us down a lot. They let us down.
I think we've also got to expect that some games you're just not going to be able to score against a team.
And that's what I mean, Kuva. That there's games
what Liverpool
where
do, isn't it? They struggle at times, but they get 0-0.
And like for example, that Brighton game, that should have been a 0-0 game, or at least we would have won a 1-0 at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, our no offense is always going to be firing, but that's when the defense has got to do their job. Just keep it 0-0. Give Harry Kane that chance to score that goal. You keep it 0-0. We always have a chance to win. Always. I always count on us.
Couldn't agree more. Shawnee, you wanted to say something?
Just if you were to sign someone like Milenkovic Savic, do you then think you can, if you fit him into the squad, and this is more of a positive, more of a speculative statement or question rather than a statement, do you think that then you have so much control of the ball, you then can almost force the issue, become more of like a Liverpool, become more of like a Manchester City, and so therefore not having that, or maybe having those vulnerabilities if you can't go and get another centre back. Let's say for whatever reason there's just no quality centre backs that are available in the last 2 weeks of the window, but then there is the chance to go and get Milenkovic Savic, and you are going to go and drop 60 million, whatever it's going to cost on him, and he'll become a club record signing. Does that then almost give you the option? It's worth taking it, not only because you want to have an SMS in the team if you can, but also because then you're going to be able to control the game so much stronger by having someone like him in the squad and on the pitch, that you're not going to have to. You're going to go from being a team that, against the top teams has 30% of the possession, against the low block teams 50, 60, but then you can actually become a 70% possession holder that can do what Liverpool does, do what Manchester City do, and then convert that possession. So not having that additional centre back isn't so much of a problem because you're not going to be facing the same amount of time in a game without the ball, and therefore expose those centre backs to as much risk.
I disagree.
I disagree. Yeah,
I get what you're saying, but most of our defensive frailties come from set pieces. Now, teams will still get a couple of set pieces against you. We cannot deal with it. But also, if you look at, especially Dyer or, for instance, or Sanchez, who might have to come in this weekend, they're prone to switching off. The longer we have the ball, the more switched off they're actually going to be, in my opinion. Because they just, for me, they're just prone to lapses in concentration. I think the more we have the ball, the more they'll think it's easier, and they'll be got at. Like, I mean, you look at Liverpool, City. Liverpool's got Van Dijk, City's got Ruben Diaz there. You know, big men, strong men, stay switched on, leaders, good in the air, etc. So when the parts like you're talking about, when they don't have the ball, like, and then what I'm saying, like set pieces and stuff like that, they stay switched on, they're focused, you know.
I agree. I wasn't actually saying that's my opinion. It was more
no.
Yeah.
I was throwing it out there as a talking point. I'm not sure I agree with it myself, to be honest.
No, I'm backing it fully, Shawnee. I'd say we'll play 5 up front and bring back Ozzy RD.
Well, look, what I do want to do is I want to get to Talk Spurs super chat here, and I'm going to caveat that with contest quotes and my question. Big up, Sava, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. He says it's a bad window, not a good window. We need a right wing back, didn't get it. Top centre back, didn't get it. Creative player, didn't get it. Champions League, yes. World Cup manager or world class manager, yes. Champions League, yes. Stadium, yes. What are we waiting for? And I'm going to caveat off the back of that with Conte's quote. So at the end of last season, Conte said, with 5 subs, you can change a game. If the bench is strong like a top team, like City, Chelsea, United, and Liverpool. By the way, United are in there because that was Conte's words from last season. They definitely won't be in there this season. You need to improve a lot your squad in the quality aspect and a numerical aspect. For me, the summer signings we made changed the game coming off the bench. And we'll go to you on this one, Shawnee. Do you think Conte has got what he asked for here? And do you think he's happy with the business the club have done for him this summer in terms of shaping the squad with the incomings and outgoings? Because, look, us fans, we're always going to have our opinion. We're always going to be split. But what matters right now is Conte happy? Or do you think Conte will be thinking more like Sava here?
Look, I agree with Sava on this one. I think that I think me and Sava feel the same way about the window. Everything that Conte's saying at the moment, he keeps banging on. He's saying he's happy. We're doing okay. We've got enough. He did say that yesterday. I think it was in the window that if people leave, people have to come in. We can't lose any more players without replacing players, right? So I think he's saying that he asked for 6. He got 6. You know, he seems to be happy with the quality. And ultimately, as a Spurs fan, we have to, if he's happy and he's the guy that we'll want to be happy and to remain, then we should all be somewhat satisfied because Conte is satisfied. Do I think that he's really, really happy deep down? No, I think he's somewhat softened his hardline press release. You know, like last season, he would, like when we lost against Burnley, he was throwing his toys out the pram. Not sure if he wanted to stay. Then against the Man City result, he's saying these are the best bunch of players we've ever played. He's ever trained or whatever. There was a lot of flip flopping and a lot of like weird, like reading between the lines was difficult. I think he got a bit of bad stick for doing that as well, right? He got a lot of press. So I think this time around, he's trying to toe the line a little bit more. Yeah. And I think he's trying to suggest that he got what he's asked for and he knows it's a stepping stone. It's a process. You can't do too much in one window. But deep down, do I think he's blown away by the business? Well, certainly not on the right wing back spot. He came out and said he didn't want Jed Spence. He okayed a club signing. It wasn't his choice. And I can't believe he looks at, I can't believe he would look at the right wing backs. Even though we spoke about this earlier, Dave. Like he seems to fucking love Emerson. He absolutely loves it, which is strange to us. But and he seems to love Sessegnon as well, right? But, so I don't understand it. If it's me, for my take, it's a difficult one to answer, mate. I think he's saying he's happy, but deep down he's tolerant of it, but not excited by it, I think.
Yeah, and look, what we'll do is we'll let Marcelo in this because I think Marcelo will also have a different of opinion. But Sean, I agree with you that, in the aspect that I think he's toned it down a little bit. I do agree with you. I think he's happy-ish, but deep down, he knows what it takes to win a championship. And I think he will be looking at that squad and saying, maybe I am a couple short. Like, he is world-class manager, like Sava says here. So I completely actually agree with you on that, Shawnee. But Marcelo, I mean, do you agree with what Sava says here? We've got in, we need a right wing back, didn't get it. Top centre back, didn't get it. Creative player, didn't get it.
You see, my issue with this is, if Conte have come out in the media and said, I wanted a center back, like, Jose did, or I wanted this position, this position, this position. All these positions that we're naming are all positions that we think we need, right? Now, our list is probably different than Conte. One thing that Conte complained a lot about last season, what was it, David? Depth. I look at the bench and I don't see much players. Now he has a bench. He's talking about it. Now he has depth. We brought in depth to the team with Richarlison, Bissouma, Langley. So we brought depth. And then we brought a left wing back, someone that can start, someone he's familiar with. And yes, we did bring 2 young signings. But I think Conte, I will agree here a little bit with Sean is, I think when he first came in, he thought, he had the mentality, it's like, I'm going to get this team, firing and going like I usually do, and it's going to be crazy, right? And I think throughout the season, he's like, no, this club and this squad needs a little bit of work. I think he toned down. I definitely agree that he toned it down a little bit. I think he's realized this is going to be a little bit of a longer process than other clubs. You know what I mean? Like Enter, when he came in, they were, third. When he came into Chelsea, yes, they were 10th, but the season before that, they were champions, I think, right? I'm pretty sure with Jose.
Oh, when Conte came in.
Conte, the 2 seasons before that, they were Premier League champions with Jose. So even though that squad finished 10th, they still had, Premier League championship quality with Hazard. They had a lot of good players in there. So I think with Conte, with Spurs, I think he has to understand that it's going to be a little bit of a longer process. And I think he knows that. And I always said it, for this window, if it's a progressive window, it's a good window. And I think it's been progressive.
Interesting. Well, look, I think the super chats are reading my mind right now, and while we're on fire, we'll keep going. Timman007 says here, and I'm going to caveat off that with my own question as well, cool, when you can answer too, because I think you're intelligent enough to do that as well, just like 2 boys. Timman007, big up, my man. He says, we need 2 more players, but these need to be game changers, not investment. We may never have this opportunity again under a manager like Conte. Now, my question is during the game at Stamford Bridge, Conte made a tactical switch in the second half when we were 1-0 down, when he replaced Session with Richarlison, which changed our formation from a 3-4-3 to a 4-2-4. This got us higher up the pitch so we could pose a threat, and it got us back in the game at Højbjerg's equaliser. He then brought on Perisic, who had a major impact on the game. He was the only player on the pitch for 10. He was only on the pitch, for 10 minutes, but he produced 5 crosses, made 2 key passes, and an interception, plus the assist for Harry Kane from the corner, for Harry Kane's equaliser. Do the tactical and personnel changes Conte experimented with prove and show that Spurs have improved the squad over the summer and brought in sort of like game changers, a bit like what Tim Mann is saying here? Well, he's saying we need game changers. So where do you sit on this?
Well, for me, it's a clear indication that not all of our best players started the game. Perisic is the most obvious one to point out from that. Richarlison was good to mess things up and change the shape of the way things were because of his aggressive running, his dogged chasing after the ball. He put the pressure on them at the back rather than their defenders putting the pressure on our forwards. So there was a good mix-up, but you've got to then think if these players are in the team, then the bench is weakened because the people coming out of the team who weren't good enough won't be good enough when they're on the bench either. So it's a much longer game. But I do agree we desperately need 2 high-quality players. That's what it comes down to at the end. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at attacking-wise or defensive-wise. At the end of the day, the key word is quality. And when we could have been putting our foot on the accelerator and really looking to gain ground, we should be clawing at Chelsea and tearing our way past them and aiming at Man City. That's got to be the goal. You will look for the top place. That's where you're trying to get to. Not treading water and just thinking, we'll do just enough to stay over there. Tim Mann's absolutely right. We've got a manager called Conte. He's one of the world's best. If we do not do everything we possibly can to give him the quality that he requires to do this job, what is the point? We'll have thrown away this opportunity because as soon as he goes, we're not getting another manager like that in a hurry.
Let me ask you this, though, Kuva. No, but let me ask you this, Kuva. In the beginning of the season, do you think we're going to sign enough players to win us the league?
No, of course not. Cooper was calling the pod.
I mean,
we're going to do the quad anyway, but
so like I like the thing is, I hear a lot of contradictions, right? Like people are saying, well, nobody expects us to sign enough players to win the league, but then the way we're talking is like we need to sign enough players. Like if we sign out these players, we would be challenging for the league. You know what I mean?
There's quite a difference between signing, say, 4 or 5 top quality players, or what we have done and sign one top quality player, a couple more that are decent.
You don't think Basuma is quality?
Yeah, I think he's quality, but is he top quality yet? He's on the way. He's on the way.
Let me ask you this, right? So look, obviously, I think it would have been. I think we would have seen maybe an improvement if we did start some of our new summer signings. But I was saying this on Sean's show earlier, and I was saying this last night as well. That,
I agree with you, by the way.
Look, Conte had to wait for these players to prove him otherwise. He has them, like Ben Davies said during the week, running through brick walls. And the last thing he wants to do is sort of just drop players out of the team for no reason, make them unhappy when he has to rely on them, because we've got so much games before November. We've got cup games and stuff like that. So he has to rely on them to put in performances in the early rounds of cup so we don't get knocked out of them like we have done over the last few years, and then some embarrassing results as well, may I add. So I do think just for squad harmony, he had to wait for a reason to drop some of them. I think Session's put himself in that ring to be dropped. One of the midfielders have put themselves in that ring. But my point is would Conte have been able to do what he done at Stamford Bridge last season? And therefore, is that a reflection on the transfer window we've had?
Listen, I agree with Kuva here, where you can honestly, you have to really wait until the end of the transfer window to really fairly judge it. But I'll even go on top of that. I think you have to wait until the end and a couple of games after that to see whether those new signings really have the impact that they mean to. You know what I mean? We don't know how great Basuma is going to affect the club. He could change our midfield. We don't know how well Perisic is going to be in that left wing back. He can completely change that left hand side up for us. We don't know how well Richarlison could be in that rotation. He could help us extremely in rotations, cup games, and all these things. And Sava, you can say I have a little ambition in the chat, but what I'm trying to say is it's not about ambition. It's about being in the world of reality. You know what I mean? We signed 7 players, and we've gotten rid of 2 already, right? And we're planning on getting rid of 2 others. That takes a whole window. That's not easy to do, especially in a COVID market where selling players is nearly impossible, especially in a market right now where a lot of clubs are demanding 80 million for Anthony. Anthony is worth 80 million. That's what Ajax is pricing him at. You know what I mean? It's like we're talking about a lot of money here. I love Bastoni and all, but like 100 million for that guy? Come on now. Like let's also be a sensible club. Liverpool didn't get Van Dijk in their first time going after him either. It took them they waited until January. You wait for your targets. What I'm having is not low ambition. I'm saying, okay, we didn't get Bastoni. Wait until January. Wait until summer. If by January or summer we don't get a top center back, then I would agree with you. Then I'm like, you know what, we blew it.
I want to say something quickly. First of all, big up Tim Man 007, brother. Really, really appreciate sports. Sparked off a very good conversation there, my man. Second of all, let's not sit here and start questioning each other's ambition. I think we'll all agree as Spurs fans, we want to fucking win trophies. I think everyone wants to win trophies and everyone has different ideas of doing it, but let's not question each other's ambition here, please, if we can. I do want to show
better than yours.
No, I believe every Spurs fan wants to win. I do think every Spurs fan wants to win. We just have everyone has different ideas of how to get there. But look, we'll take this super chat here from the Bottom Dude, and then I do want to move on a little bit. The Bottom Dude says we all agree that the wing backs were important. We got Spence, who doesn't even make the bench. The right wing back position is not strengthened. We didn't get a centre back. I know one window is not enough, but we got 8 players anyway. Shawnee, we'll let you guys have a go at this one, and I see Kuva nodding his head, and we'll let Kuva in, and then I want to move on with some of the other questions I have.
I'm not sure if the Bottom Dude is saying we got 8 players anyway, as in like that it's a good window or a bad window. I'm not really.
I think he's saying like the numbers we've brought in is a decent window. I think
decent window anyway. Yeah, look, like I think it's really, really difficult to evaluate right now. It's difficult to evaluate how Conte feels. I think it would be clearer if Conte was unhappy. I think it would be clearer for all of us of how we should evaluate the window.
Walked.
Yeah,
He would've
but
won.
he hasn't. He said for all intents and
Talking about
purposes
signing
that
a new
it's
contract.
that he's happy, that he's okay with it. We've improved. He's saying all the things that are positive that I would have been more likely to jump behind and get on board with and be full of energy and excited about had we done the things that the bottom dude is saying now, like get a quality right wing back. Like for me, I think that we missed a massive trick. I think it was because we went after Perisic probably in January or February, organised that deal to be done, and then but when you look at Kostic, like that went for 16 million quid to Juve and only on 50 grand a week, like that to me is like so frustrating. That's a player that everyone would have got behind. He's 29. He's got 5 more years maybe in him, and then you still could have done it because you could have had Perisic. And Paratici could have played on the right, or Paratici could have played in the middle, or up front, or whatever, right? So there's lots of examples of frustration. And for me, I think I'm with everybody. I think that the centre-back is the most important position to fill, and we haven't done it yet. Hopefully we will, but there isn't any names out there that are available right now at this stage in the window that really wow me. Even Skriniar, which is probably the most available high-class name that's available, he's like, I'm like, okay, that's good. But he's not
wow. He's not a Virgil van Dijk.
He's not a wow, right? Yeah. So there's that.
I think Bastoni was that guy. I think Bastoni.
Yeah, Bastoni was that guy.
I think he still is.
Let's all finish.
That's right. So I think it's really difficult to evaluate where we're at, and I think it's harder to evaluate because I think Conte seems happier than most people. I think most of us in the community are on the verge of it's disappointing or it's okay. But the fact that Conte seems to be on a further up end of the spectrum, at least by what he's saying, I think it's a little bit of a head scratcher for me. But listen, if Conte's genuinely, sincerely happy, then I'll get behind it at the end of the window. But again, I'll reiterate, I do, even though I wound Kuva up about it last month on my channel saying, like, judge the window. Thus far, I'm asking you right now, judge it right now. In reality, he's absolutely right. You can't judge it until the end of the window. And I think Marcelo's even more correct that really you need the benefit of hindsight. You need 3 months to be able to reflect and then go, well, what happened? Like it was in January, judging Kulusevski and Bentancur on February the 1st, it looked like a decent window. But it's only when we got to April or May, we could look back and say, actually, it was a really good window because the signings that we made helped get us to where we finished. So I don't know if that answers the question to bottom.
Yeah. Big up the bottom tutor, my brother. Really appreciate the support, and hopefully you enjoyed Sean's answer of it. We'll throw this next one at Kuva, and then I've got one for you, Marcelo. The bottom tutor says, Conte is a world-class manager. He knows his players, but his choices have not always been great. Kolarov, Sanchez, Vidal were his picks at Inter, and Inter had a tough time to move these players. Great insight here from the bottom tutor. I mean, Kuva, what would you say to the bottom tutor here?
Well, this is one of the really, really difficult ones to answer. I always find any club that uses a director of football, what exactly is the relationship between the manager and their role in the players coming in? Because some managers have made a point of saying they don't select players at all. All they do is coach them when they come through the door. Now, what goes on between the likes of Conte and Paratici? I don't know. All I can say for concrete, sure, is that Jed Spence wasn't Conte's pick because he said that.
Yeah.
So you've got to assume some of the other players aren't. So was that the case at Inter as well? I'd assume so. Conte seems to be happy working with the director of football. That seems to be the case. So I think most of the time he's happy to just cruise along with what he's got, as long as he sees some quality in the players that he is getting, dealt, if you like. He's happy enough with it. But for me, I'm more worried about some of the things Conte started saying that he didn't used to say. It's those little stock responses that we always heard from the press office at Tottenham, like, we want to be more competitive, or we've got to build for the future as well as now, and things like that. It's like that doesn't sort of fit in with my view of what Conte's all about, because he's very much the give me it now. I want it straight away. I want everything.
What I will say just quickly, hold on to that idea about for the future, because I do have a question. I got to answer it after it. I got to let Marcelo in, and it probably will set off landmines all over the place, and that is not my intention whatsoever. But hold on to that thought. But Dark Sun or the bottom do big yourself up, brother. And I really, really appreciate the support, my man. Everybody tonight, really appreciate support from everybody. Questions flying and talking points flying in here, left, right, and center. I am trying my best to catch up so we can start getting everybody's comments up on screen. But guys,
we haven't even started the show yet, have we? The first question about Harry Kane hasn't even started yet.
I'm going to save that.
Hasn't even made his tea.
I'm going to save that for a special portion at the end. But everybody, smash the like on the stream and smash the subscribe button on the channel if you haven't. Marcelo, Sebas Wolf says Conte knew that the rebuild he wanted was going to take some time, and one window would be impossible to get all the players he wanted. That only tells me he's staying for more than one season.
I totally agree with that. That's what I've been saying this whole entire time. People saying, "Oh, we can't win. We can't get a squad to challenge for the for the Premier League in one window." Right? That's what every Spurs fan was saying before this window opened. Right? Nobody expected us to get a squad that's going to challenge for the title. We didn't get a squad to challenge for the title. But what I think we got a squad that improved the team. And that's all I asked for this window. We did get a squad that improved the team. And I guarantee you, within that 10 games, and you know what? I said this the last summer window, right? That Romero was going to massively improve us. That Kulu, Bentaker, we were in the same channel saying how those names, just those 3 names, would massively improve us. And look what they did. They got us top 4. And I'm saying again, Bissouma, Paratici, Richarlison, these players are going to make a big difference for us this season. And don't be surprised if Spence, if maybe even Sarr, some of these players get some games in the cup games. They have some good performances as well. Don't be too surprised.
Are they good enough to close the gap on what's above us?
But that's the thing. Nobody expected us to close the gap between Liverpool and City in this window. Who did? Raise their hands. I didn't think we're going to do it this window.
I did to be.
I did not think so. I think
not to close the gap at all.
No, to challenge for the title against
no.
But that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, like, just to get Liverpool and Man City finished. What they finished like 20 points ahead of us.
Yeah, like 20 points. You can't do that in one window.
Hey, but
I think we closed the gap between Chelsea. I think so.
See, I think at the moment, personally, I think that, like, whilst I would have agreed with you 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, right now, I feel like, and for all the noise that's in the media, I think that the gap is going to get wider between Tottenham and Chelsea. I think Chelsea look like they're really going after things.
But
and
who are they going to get?
They signed Koulibaly, right? They signed Cucurella. I mean, they're getting the best out of some of their players. If they can get Aubameyang, they need a striker.
Get one injury and they're fucked.
Yeah, but
they get one injury in that team and they're
that's the same. It's the same with Tottenham, isn't it?
No, differently. They're not screwed like we are. No, they're not. They're not screwed like we are. We actually, even though Sanchez is a massive drop off, we at least have a replacement for those positions. Chelsea might not have a replacement at all. If 1 or 2 players get injured, their depth is really low. They have a lot of players with a lot of problems with Ziyech, Pulisic. As the season go on, I'm telling you, those problems.
If they sign Aubameyang, if they sign an Aubameyang,
he's finished. He's finished. That guy is finished.
Maybe. But Chelsea need a striker. Chelsea need a striker. If they get a striker, that's
if they get a shit striker, what's the point? You know what I mean? We got Vinicius. Remember that kid? You know what I mean? What's the point of getting him? You know what I mean? One thing I've learned after
comparing Vinicius to Aubameyang's, I think a little bit of a stretch.
No. What is Aubameyang?
Richarlison, it's a massive step up in ourselves.
Yeah.
Like Richarlison would have been a better signing for Chelsea than Aubameyang.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So our backup striker is better than Aubameyang. That says a lot. It's better than Chelsea's main striker. It's better than a lot of main strikers in the Premier League. I think we definitely improved the team. I agree with
improved the team. Yeah, sorry.
What about what Sebas Wolf says, Marcelo? Do you see Conte signing a new contract, and why do you see him signing a new contract, if so?
I think I see him signing a new contract because, one, I think him and Levy and Paratici had an honest talk. They said, look, City, Liverpool, they're just at the next level right now. Challenging you for the title after one window is impossible. So give us 2 windows. And if we impress you this window, you sign another one, and then the next one we go big again. And I think we're going to go big again. I think, and that's why Conte is going to stay. I think he's been impressed by this window. I think if Conte wasn't impressed by this window, he would have walked already.
Yeah, look, I would agree with that. I think if he wasn't happy enough with it, he would have walked for sure.
Yeah.
What I will say is, My heart and my head tells me that I do think Conte is looking for something a bit longer term than maybe what he's had previously. I think as long as the owners keep him happy, he's more than happy to stay here. He only walked away from Inter because they didn't have the money to do what he wanted to do. So, look, I do think he will stay. I just hope that doesn't come back and bite me in the ass, Sebas. But big yourself up, brother.
I think that January transfer window could be a massive one deciding Conte's future.
So then that goes back to Marcelo's point then about saving money.
if things are not working out when the January transfer window comes up,
but that's why you save your war chest. Yeah, that's why you save your war chest. That's when you spend big. I think. Listen, Kuva, if January or next summer we don't have a top center back, I would be agreeing with you. But I think it's a little bit too soon.
Yeah, but big up Sebas Wolf, my man.
Let's just get one at the end of this, by the end of this window, and we don't have to argue on it, mate.
Hopefully that works too, but I don't think it's going to happen.
We're going to move on. Guys. Sebas Wolf, really appreciate the super chat, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. And hopefully you enjoyed myself and Marcelo going on that. Now, I do have other super chats to get to, but I will come back to it. I do want to ask a question. And, guys, I'm well aware there's probably going to be a split on the panel and a split in the chat, but we can all disagree respectfully, hopefully. So, question I want to ask, and I think what we'll do is we'll start with Kuva on this one and work our way backwards around the panel. So, Kuva, Tottenham have officially announced the signing of Destiny and Doja the other day, 18 million, 15 million plus 3 million add-ons they're expecting on a 5-year deal and loan back to Udinese for the rest of the season. Does the signing of a Doji and Jedi Spence represent shrewd investment and planning for the future? Or is this something that has been labelled at the club before, with Tottenham falling back into their old habits again, buying young and looking to sell for a profit? I mean, Kuva, we'll start with you. What's your opinion on it? And like I say, guys, please disagree respectfully.
What? Oh, damn, I wish I was going later then. I could say respectfully. That's
well, I can let someone else go first if you want.
No, it's all right, go on. I think it's a bit of both. I think this is Levy's, always been Levy's plan. Buy young, sell, and then sell at a profit later on in their career. However, I don't think we should have been doing that at the expense of not signing quality, like a right wing back, centre back, and that attacking player. If we'd done that, sign as many youngsters after that as you like, definitely, but fill the holes that are missing first. For me, this is spending money where it should be on a priority, which is the first team. That first 11 is not as strong as it could be, not by a mile. When we still got the likes of Ben Davis and Disco Dyer at the back, and when we got Emerson Royale on the wing, that's probably going to cost me a tenner with Sean. What was
the bet we had?
I'll bet he was going to be gone by the end of the window, didn't I?
Oh, I'll take that. I forgot all about that one.
Then I'll take it back again. Anyway, if we're doing that at the expense of strengthening the first team, I think it's a bad move. But if you did get those players in, we've got at least got a really good first 11. And we've got some bit of depth on the bench then, because those players dropping out of the team then become your backups. No problem with that. Bring in some youngsters. Yeah, of course you need some fresh blood coming in through the door. Every club survives on that. So exciting youngsters come through. Brilliant. I hope it does. I hope it isn't indicative of Conte staying on the long term. But I have my doubts that we're going to match his sort of ambition for long enough. I'm a little bit worried, to be honest, because there's just been so many years of evidence suggesting we'll do things too cheap.
Okay. Interesting. So, Shawnee, I'm not sure whether you're going to agree with Kuva here, or, well, I presume you're going to disagree because, you see things a little bit differently. Do you think it is shrewd investment, like maybe getting the new Danny Rose, Kyle Walker? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it all depends on whether these players work out. I think the reason what I don't like it when people look at teams like Chelsea who go out and sign young players, loan them out, turn like Conor Gallagher's, those sorts of players, and then say that's just shrewd business planning for the future. And Manchester City doing the same thing. Manchester City did a fantastic turnover of players in ways where they can actually make their money back and actually bring their net spend down to try and meet alleged FFP rules, if you believe that stuff even is a thing. But And when Tottenham do it, it's not classified as planning for the future. It's classified as a Levy signing. That annoys me. Like, there's no consistency in the routine.
Agree.
But what I do think that the reason why people have less appetite for it as Tottenham fans is because in the past we have been so consistently poor at identifying, like, for every 10 players we go and sign that are young, that cost a bit of money in the short term, 9 of them don't work out. Whereas other clubs that have a better success and a better track record of doing that, they usually work out. Liverpool rarely make mistakes in the transfer window, whether they're buying young players or not. And I think that what we have to do now is take a step back and kind of draw a line in the sand and say, before now, I know we're going to move on to what Paratici's doing with his backroom staff and all that stuff in a little while, but before now, when you had the likes of Steve Hitchen that was doing it, when he was the one man at the top of the thing, he was responsible for all of these different divisions of recruitment, and it failed so many times. So I understand why frustrated Tottenham fans get pissed off with this continued thesis, because they think, well, look, it's a broken record. We keep trying and we keep failing. But now I think if we're going to give Paratici the reins and we're going to let him reshape the entire club in the background, and it looks like he's doing that, all these new players, these old players that are now coaches or part of the youth development, and getting these performance directors and things in, then I think you have to draw a line in the sand and forget the past and then say, is it a thing that you have to do? Do you have to prepare for the future? Yes. Okay, well, let's forget our poor track record, because we've got a new guy who's in charge of doing that. He's bringing in new players and new people that are going to help him do that. And so I think ultimately it's the right thing to do. I just want to make sure that Tottenham are better at doing it. And hopefully under Paratici and his new wingmen and henchmen, we can go and do that. And, for all intents and purposes, Udogie looks like, or however you say his name, he looks like he could be a good player. I wouldn't mind him coming in right now, if I'm entirely honest. I don't think that Sessignon started the season, or at least he looked really badly the other day. So I'm happy with us doing it. I just wish Spurs fans would go, okay, let's forget about the past. Let's start again, because we've got a new guy who's in charge of rebuilding the whole structure. It's a necessary evil. It's something you have to do.
I agree with that, my man. And I do. I actually do want to talk after this. I want to talk a little bit on Paratici's rebuild of the backroom team, because it's something that's gone unnoticed, and I don't really see too many talking about it. But I mean, Marcelo, where do you stand? Do you stand with Kuva, where it's kind of like it's the same thing we've always done, or do you stand with Sean, where you have to draw a line in the sand? We've got a new person in charge rebuilding and everything, and you have to give it a chance. And most teams do it. City do it. Liverpool do it. Chelsea do it.
Yeah, I think first off, I want to say I think I agree with Sean. More likely, I think he hit right on the nail. I don't think I could say it any better. But I think give credit to Lynch 616. He or she said, you can say F the future, but when the future comes, you can say, oh, well, we're F now, because we didn't, work on the future. I think working for future players is important. I think the new business model is what Sean said, buying in a young player that has a lot of potential, loaning him out, see how he develops, and then bringing him into the squad and then integrating him if he's a success. We don't spend well with the future signings. That's the one thing Spurs can improve on. A lot of our young signings are usually really poor. We actually do well with our quality signings, like our main signings. I think we do pretty well, but it's when the future signing comes in, we tend to have an issue with that. But it doesn't mean that we should drop it. It doesn't mean that you know what, forget about the future. Let's just be, Chelsea, because Chelsea is suffering from that right now. Chelsea, they didn't really sign for the future a lot, and now they're kind of struggling with, keeping up that business model.
What I will say is they signed that young guy from Inter Milan, or they're signing him, and they got in that young guy from Villa who ripped it up at the Championship, Scarlett.
I would say under Mourinho, though, they were struggling with that bit of getting new talent in, and then they kind of changed their whole business model and start, putting Gallagher, Tomori, and sending all these young players on loan. And it's been working out for them. And I think that business model is very effective. We can get some really good, solid players for cheap, for not a lot. And it's good business.
Do you remember when we had Baldini as director of football?
Look, Don Paratici is much better than Baldini.
It was all the same things being said then as well.
But hold on, Kuva, hold on. So if let's just say we messed up with Tengayo Nobeli, right? We messed up with Lo Celso. then should we just not sign any more quality play, like high like quality players that we perceive quality, right? High big signings. Should we just stop doing big signings all in all just because we failed those signings? No, right? So we improve our scouting team, right? That's what we need to do with the youngsters. I think we just
why
need
is
to
it taken this long?
I'm not sure. They need it.
Well,
They need to do their job better.
It's been a shit show. Our buying of youth has been absolutely
Steve Hitchen has not been good enough.
Our youth development, our academies, like
been
delivered
poor.
fuck all over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The trouble is, I've heard this so many times over the last.
But
even
here's the thing.
Forget it even being a Levy thing. Even under Sugar, it was like this.
Yeah, but then Kuva, you gotta understand. You got to look at the backroom staff. We've changed a lot of the backroom staff. You got Yaya Toure. You got Ryan Mason now. You got a lot of different people coming into the youth team, into the assistant coaching team. Different culture. Now with Paratici, things seems a little bit more structured.
Now, I do want to get on to that. That is one of my talking points. I just want to get through some of these super chats here. We'll dish one out to each of you and let you have your opinion on it. And then I want to get on to talking about that backroom rebuild, which not many people are talking about. Kuva thinks it's more or less the same. Marcelo doesn't, so it should be interesting when we get into it. But Marcelo, we'll start with you on this one. The bottom dude says we had a decent window, but so did other clubs. My only concern is that other clubs will spend in the same way again. We don't know whether we'll have a window like this again. Need reinforcements. And that is a fair point by the bottom dude. We do not know.
No, look, listen. I think, Arsenal has improved. I think Chelsea, they still need a couple signings. Yes, they have a good starting 11, but I think once the season starts going and, they're playing FA Cup, all these other challenges, I think they're going to struggle in depth. I think they're going to struggle. They missed a lot of key players, and I think it's going to see like the Rudigers. You're going to see Christensen's. You're going to see a lot of like Azpilicueta's getting older. You're going to start seeing a lot of. I think they're going to slow down a little bit, but they definitely improved. I think Arsenal definitely improved, but the difference is we've improved as well, and we have Conte. So yes, Arsenal improved, but we have a better manager. You know what I mean? So I think we'll finish above them regardless. I think Conte with I think we have a better squad than Arsenal. And we have a better manager. So in my opinion, we should be finishing above them. I think if we don't, I think that's Conte's fault, in my personal opinion. Yeah, I think we should at least be finishing above Arsenal, above United. Chelsea, okay, they still have a really solid squad, but I think we can be challenging for that third spot. I think we're coming for that third spot. And listen, Liverpool, they also have a lot of glaring holes now, especially with Mane missing. Their front three is not firing like it used to be. That could take a while.
Liverpool's midfield as well. Liverpool's midfield. If you take away a couple of injuries in the midfield, and they've got some like very average players, average players.
I look at the rest of the Premier League. Other than City, I feel like Spurs are in reach of maybe taking their spot. I could see it. I could honestly see it.
Exactly. So seconds up for grabs. We wait for Man City to slip up, and the quad is on. Glad you all agree, lads. Let's wrap it up.
I think that's a very legit concern you do have. I agree with you. That is a concern of mine. But what I will say is I'm hoping that we can get enough of the squad together this window so that next season we only have 2 or 3 bits maybe we need to do, and we can spend proper money on them areas and start getting in the quality. That's what I'm hoping the bottom do, but I think you raise a fair point, my man. Sean Dyke Sung G says, agree, because if we just buy anyone, the window will end up like the 2021 summer window, where only Pierre and Højbjerg survived. The Don knows how to do smart business. They are probably looking for tall, physical players.
I agree. You got to hit the target. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we want. We can say, go get Savage, go get these guys. It's what Conte wants. It's the profile of the player that's important. You know what I mean? Like, one thing I learned a lot from the last 3 windows on how like this whole thing works. And I always say it: character and personality is just as important as the talent. Yes, the player could be talented, but look at Ndombele. Doesn't have the character and personality. So I think we have to go with the targets that we feel comfortable with. I think that's the right way to go.
I think I remember spotting a graphic today that we on average have the tallest team in the league. Yeah, by a long way.
We got 6 foot. Our average squad.
I think it was so bad at set pieces.
I think that the weird thing is, though, right, is that we've got basically all of our players, with the exception of like 2 or 3. Like Lucas Moore is obviously 5'9", 5'8", but everybody's about 6 foot.
And Lucas jumps higher than all of them.
You know, like it's like, I think our average height is 185 centimeters, which is 6 foot. And there's like 3 teams at 184, a bunch of teams
That's
at
gotta
183. That's not a massive difference, but
that's got to be the most Spurs thing ever. We have the tallest team, and yet we suck at set pieces. And our shortest player jumps the highest out of all our tallest players.
Can't jump.
Big up, Dark Sung G, brother. Really appreciate the support.
I'm not the hugest Lucas Moura fan, but it is magnificent watching him score with a header when he out.
It's crazy how high he jumps. It's insane.
Springs for calves, absolute legend. Dark Sung G says if Kane looks happy, then he would stay. We can say great window. Look, I think this window we also had a lot to prove to Harry Kane as well. Let's not forget that this window was to try and convince Harry Kane to stay. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there, Dark Sung G. But after we talk about scout and rebuild, I do want to talk about my main man, my man crush, Big H, King of the Lane, best number 10 in world football. Big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate support, brother. Sean, we'll throw this one at you, Shawnee boy. Timman 007 says, problem we have is that with the exception of Romero, we have a defense that would not get into any of the top 6 clubs. Is that really progression? Fair point.
Top 6, I think you could make it. I think you could probably make an argument that, you know, Dyer or Davies could slip into some of West Ham's defensive positions. I think you could make an argument right now that Eric Dyer might be able to get into the Man United team.
100%.
Obviously, they couldn't get top. I'm not sure who the top 6 are anymore. If Man United's out of it, who's come in? Is it Newcastle? Is it West Ham? Who?
I think Davies could start. I think Davies could start for United, West Ham. Yeah. Maybe even. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but I do agree with Tim, man. Like, there's definitely a problem. Like, I think we all agree. Like, we need some defensive reinforcements. We have capable players, but not exceptional players. And yeah, for the largest part, if we want to really judge the window, last season we probably only had 3 people in our squad, in our first 11, that would get into, or would even like challenge to get into a Manchester City or Liverpool team. I think at the moment, we're probably still the same. Maybe you could argue Kulusevski could make a little inroad, but probably not to Manchester City, probably not to Liverpool. Maybe you could say in the future, maybe Basuma could get into Liverpool's midfield because Liverpool's midfield is getting a little bit old after the starting 11. Yeah. But apart from that, we haven't really improved to the point where we've got players like we haven't got any worldies, have we? We haven't got out and signed like a marquee. Who is the marquee? Is it Richarlison? Is it Basuma? I don't know. It's not going to be Longley or Jed Spence or any of these other, or Foster, is it? So I don't think Perisic is a marquee signing either.
Perisic for me is closest to it.
A marquee signing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing.
I think it's Richarlison. I think it's Richarlison. Listen, man. I think you're also on. Well, no, hold on a second. Let me tell you something. This is a guy that's gone. All right, this is a guy that's gone 10 plus Premier League goals every season with a terrible Everton squad. Right. This has been one of the better, like probably one of the best attacking talent in the Premier League outside of the top 6. Right. And he's also a guy that's 26? He's 26 or something like that, right?
He hasn't scored like 20 goals. When you say he's got 10 plus goals, he scored 10 goals.
Like,
no. 10 goals.
Yeah, that's what
from open play.
Yeah, but that's what the poor Everton squad. You know what I mean? That's what the
but like Emmanuel Dennis scored more goals than he did from with a team like Watford who went down. Emmanuel Dennis isn't going to light up he's not going to wow anybody, is he? But
I think Richarlison's a little bit more proven than Dennis. I think
Richarlison.
I think Richarlison has more qualities. I think him playing with a top manager. When I see him play with Brazil, he plays very well. I think if you get him with a top squad, I think he's just going to up his game. I think he's someone that could really up his game.
I was impressed with Richarlison. I wasn't impressed when we signed him for 60 million. I was probably like on the negative side with that reaction. And I thought he did okay against Chelsea when he came on, but I still don't think he's a marquee.
Look, what I will say, we'll bring it back to defence for Tim, man. Look, I agree. I agree with Sean. Dyer probably would actually get into United team, but United aren't a top team anymore. But where I'm looking at, would they get into Chelsea's back line, who were looking for centre-backs, didn't come in looking for any of ours? Would they get into City? Would they get into Liverpool? No, I don't think they would. I'll be honest with you. I think some of them will struggle to get into most teams in the top half of the Premier League, if I'm being honest. Look, Romero is, and I said this, is our only capable defender on and off the ball. I do think it needs an improvement. We're just lucky we have Conte who can get the most out of Dyer and Davies. That's what I will say, Tim, man. But you make a great point, brother. Big up, Tim, man, 007. Really appreciate the support. Guys, Savatalk Spurs with a super chat here. I'm going to leave this one with Kuva to start off. I'm just running off to the toilet quickly because my delicious Volvic water, natural, and straight out from the mountains, is running through me, so I have to go and strain the spuds. But Kuva, Savatalk Spurs says, question for the panel. If as many of you say we have had a really good window, then if Conte doesn't finish third or higher, has he failed? Finish fourth again isn't improvement. Just asking. Now, look, Kuva, we'll start with you, and then Shawnee, and then back to Marcelo, and then I want to get into talking about that scouting department. So I'll be back in a minute. As I said, my lovely Volvic, fresh from the mountains, is running through.
Yeah, for me, bare minimum, improve your league position. Absolute bare minimum. Otherwise, it isn't progress. We're having this raging argument, weren't we, the other week, Shawnee, about what counting league position as a barometer. If that's the case, you've got to improve on it. Yeah. I mean, if you're the likes of Liverpool, it's very difficult to improve it because that means becoming champion. Yeah. But the position we're in, we've got to look at Chelsea as being a viable target to overtake them this season. Yeah. We really have. And if we don't do that, it is a failed season in that respect. Unless we hold top four and pick up some other trophies.
Yes. I agree with you, Kuva. I think bare minimum, either, getting that top four, improving on points and position. But I think what I expect from this season, I expect top four and a trophy. That's what I want. That's what what I think we can achieve with the squad that we have right now. But I think also maybe overachieving would be challenging for the league. I think that would be the overachievement. I think if we're able to challenge with City this season, I think that would be a bigger message than almost winning an FA Cup, in my opinion. I think that would be
I agree. There's one thing Conte said that makes me think that's what we're aiming for. Yeah. It's when he said, be in the running with 10 games to go and see what happens.
Yeah. I think
we do that.
Yeah,
if we do that, we're showing we are at least putting our hat in the ring.
That for me would be an overachievement. If we challenge City this season, that would be an overachievement.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we've gone back and forth on this one so many times long in the tooth, aren't we, Coof? But for me, I still stand by my opinion that I think that the league position is the best barometer of where you are as a club, because I do think that you can win a trophy technically without ever having to play any decent opposition. It very rarely happens, but you can get all the way to the cup final, right, without ever having to play. But you can't avoid playing Manchester City twice. You can't avoid playing Liverpool twice and Chelsea twice, and over the course of the season. I personally would still rather see us finish second in a close race and lose out on a trophy. Personally, it's just my personal take, because it means that the entire season, every single Sunday, every Saturday, every Wednesday,
it's going to mean something.
We've been involved. We've been having relative successes in every single game to keep us in the hunt, rather than getting lucky in a cup run or not, or playing against the best teams and winning, six games, 6 weekends out of the season, but ultimately having a really disappointing season. Obviously, we want to do both. Obviously, I'd love to finish third, second, or Holy Land,
also
and win a trophy. Hang on 1 second, let me just finish my rant. I'd love to do both. Obviously, winning a trophy would be counted as success. For me, though, I think that if we can finish second, that to me would still be considered a successful season for me, regardless of what happens in the cups. But to Saba's point specifically, if Conte doesn't finish third or higher, has he failed? I think you have to. Has he failed? I don't know. Would you ask him? Did he fail last season? I don't think if you asked him, he would say last season was a failure. Personally, I think that we also have to reflect on what other teams do. I think a lot of the time we as fans look at Spurs through like a microscope and just think about us, what we're doing. Are we better than we were last season? Are we as good as we can be? Without taking the time to really reflect on what other teams are doing. There's a million moving parts. It's a very fluid conversation. But if we don't finish third or higher, I think it would be a very disappointing season. So probably, yes, Sava, I would say that the season would be a failure if we don't improve on last season's Premier League position.
Would you say this, Sean? Anything outside of top 4 is a failure, but anything below third is, like you said, a disappointment. It's kind of like an underachievement.
If we finish fifth
Or,
and don't win,
yeah,
if we
that's
finish
a
fifth,
failure.
there's a failure. Even if we win the League Cup, I still think
it's
finishing
failure.
outside Champions League would be.
Yeah,
would be
I think fourth is a requirement. I
Yeah.
think fourth is a requirement.
Fourth is
What
the bare minimum.
if it's
Yeah,
fifth
bare
and we
minimum.
win the Champions League?
Well,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, yeah, so
fuck
yeah, of
that.
course,
Yeah, of course. I'll take that any day. Kuva, I'll rip your hand off there. I'm going to shake your hand with that. I'll rip it off.
I do want to say, whatever you guys are saying, nothing's going to stop me from believing until we're mathematically possible out of it that we can achieve the utmost this season. Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League.
Right.
Until we are mathematically out of it, no matter what people tell me, I will always believe. Because people told me we were out of the top 4 race last season. But we end up getting that. You never know. He 100%. Is the massive difference maker, was what I will say. With Conte at the club, I think he can elevate what we have to different heights. And I think that's our best asset right now. But Sava, Kuva, I've seen you doing your eyebrows. But what I will say is, look what he done to Davies and Dyer. Do I think they're good enough? No. But look at the improvement he made in them players. And I think with the likes of Perisic, Basuma, when they eventually get into the team, hopefully Langley as well, I think we might see a bit of a different Tottenham. But look, we'll wait and see. Sava, hopefully you enjoyed your answer, my man, and big yourself up. And everybody, look, I think me and Sava both agree. We agree on the things, but we disagree on a lot of things. But regardless, check out his channel, guys. Sava Talk Spurs. Get over there and check it out. Sava, really appreciate the support, my man. And look, we've got 2 more super chats to get to. I think we will take them. And then I do want to move on and talk about the backroom team. And then my second wife, Harry Kane. Dark Sun G says, Blues have Conte out for a while. They lost 3 defenses in Sarr, Rudiger, and Christensen. Also, don't forget they will lose Alonso soon, so their bench is weaker. Apologies to everybody. I do not know where Sean's gone. I do hope he's back. I think he pressed the wrong button. We'll find out.
I was going to make a cup of tea, but I pressed the exit instead. I'll be back in a second.
Take your tea. You've got plenty of time. So, look, what we'll do is I think we'll give this one to Marcelo, and then I'll pass the next one on to Kuva, and then we'll move on. So, Marcelo, what would you say, Dark Sun G here? He makes some fair points.
Yeah, no, I think he does. I think, look, I think Chelsea will always, regardless of the squad they have, regardless of the momentum they have, I think they will always play well against us at Stamford Bridge. I think that's just something we've seen it, like the Battle of the Bridge. We were so much better than them quality-wise in the Battle of the Bridge, but it's always a tough game. It's always a tough game. Stamford Bridge will always be a tough game. And I just think they don't have the squad to really push for anything like they were able to last season or the other season. I think with Timo Werner gone, I think with Lukaku gone, I think with Pulisic not wanting to play, I think with Ziyech not wanting to play, Mason Mount, he could get tired. He's not going to be able to play every game of the season.
He's not consistent.
It's not consistent.
He has real purple patches.
Yeah.
He's never consistent.
Yeah, and then, Sterling, he's not exactly the most consistent either. He can play well, but, also he's going to get tired. I just don't see them being able to rotate. I see Chelsea having a really struggle. I think as a starting 11, they're a very good squad. I think they can get top 4. I think they can get top 3. You know what I mean? But I think their death is really going to hurt them. And Aubameyang is not going to fix their striker problem. I think it's going to add to our problems. I think Chelsea need to realize that, they need to stop signing these people with bad attitudes. That's what they're signing. You know what I mean? And they're going to sign Aubameyang. You know what I mean? They just fell out with their first striker. This is a guy that's fallen out with every club. He's fallen out with Tuchel before. He left Dortmund because he fell out with Tuchel. You know what I mean? And they're gonna sign that guy. I don't know. For me, it doesn't seem like start business. But they do have Cucurella. They do have Sterling. They do have Koulibaly. These are very good signings. Very good signings for them.
I actually think Aubameyang will hit the ground running, but he'll end up going to the same fate he did at Arsenal, where he'll fade out. I do think Chelsea, maybe the lack of striker options might actually cause them a bit of problems this season. So, look, we'll wait and see. But Dark Sun G also says, Kuva, on Sava's Super Chat, if for some reason Blues ended 5th or 6th and Liverpool 5th or 6th and we get 4th, I would call that progress or get 1 or 2 trophies plus 4, because that is the only reason that Kane and Son are underrated.
1 to 2 trophies and 4.
I don't see Liverpool getting 5th
Uh-huh.
or 6th. I see Liverpool getting top 4. Even though they've had a poor start, I still think they have a good enough squad.
You would imagine so. They got enough there at the back to start with.
It's the know-how more than the
Van
squad.
Dijk.
Yeah. I just think the once Matip comes back, once Nunes sorts his head out, and once Diaz gets more game time, I think they're going to be okay.
Dave, would you mind swapping me and Cooper back, mate? I've got serious OCD about.
No worries. Cooper, go on, have your say on Dark Side.
Motion sickness. Can you stop doing that?
Go on, Dark. Cooper, have your say on Dark Side.
Yeah, I don't see Liverpool falling that far either, but they could. You never know. Sometimes the little change in a team makes a big disruption, and it is there's
football.
No real rhyme or reason for it. City are looking, pretty much untouchable at the moment. I mean, the fact that we're wooing about Haaland and they've also got Alvarez to come in, it's just insane. So let's be realistic and say, looking at second would be a brilliant season for us.
Overachievement.
Look, with Liverpool dropping points, all we got to do is just keep winning while they're dropping points. Because they will get it together. Once their injuries crisis is finished, they will get it together.
As we're saying, though, it's multifaceted, isn't it? Because supposing Arsenal win the remainder of the window, they get a dominant midfielder in, or a great central defender, or something like that, and it boosts their team up. No, it probably won't happen. But what if it does? You don't know yet.
Yeah, they'll probably find another William Gallas somewhere, Like
at the end of the day, we got a Conte and they got an Arteta, so we're pretty much in the driving team.
At least Conte isn't pulling out light bulbs thinking he's fucking discovered electricity.
I mean, like that all or nothing has to be one of the Arsenal all or nothing. I'm not even going to talk about it. I
still have to watch that tonight. I saved it for tonight.
You're going to love it, David. You're going to have so many laughs. I mean,
don't forget, this is a spur of the moment manager, isn't it?
Oh, he is.
Carries a light bulb round with him.
Oh my goodness.
Or brings out the PA system and starts pretending they're at Anfield. It's
listen. I already said it. I don't think Arsenal are going to get top. I don't think Arsenal are going to get top 4. I keep saying it. People keep saying that. Oh, they've improved their team. Where did they improve? It's the same team. Gabriel Jesus is not that. He's not better than Kane, right?
He's starting off well, though.
He's better.
He's starting off well.
He's better than what they had.
Listen, he's starting off well, but he's not better than Harry Kane.
No, but he's better than what they had.
He's not that much better. I'm telling you. This is what I've seen Gabriel Jesus play. This guy is like he has purple patches. He'll play well for 3 games. He'll go missing.
He's better than Nketiah, surely.
Yeah.
He's a little bit. He's not that much different. It's not that much different. Listen, anyway, I've seen the guy play for Brazil national team. I'm just saying, he hasn't been all that impressive.
Brazilians are not happy with him. They were calling for Richarlison to be the main man. So look,
I mean, sure, he's no Emerson Royale, but I mean, it's still an improvement.
We're going to move on from Arsenal. We are going to move on from Arsenal because this is not AFTV. It's the Irish Hotspur. But look, Dark Sun G. I mean, look. There's definitely potential for one in Liverpool or Chelsea. Look, with Liverpool and Man City, I've been saying it. They've been chasing each other's coattails for 4 or 5 years. It's inevitable one of them are going to have a drop-off and a slight little bit of rebuild to get back to the levels they were at. It happens. When you're going at 4, 5, 6 years, mentally, physically, you'll end up seeing a bit of a decline, a bit of a drop-off. Is it going to happen this year for Liverpool? I'm not so sure. We'll wait and see. Chelsea, I think the lack of a striker will cause them problems. I know Aubameyang might be coming in.
Or Ronaldo.
I don't think Ronaldo. We'll wait and see. Well, you never know. We'll wait and see. Why don't we go and get Ronaldo? But look, what I will say is, I think even getting in Aubameyang, I think he'll start off well, but he'll fade out. And I think the lack of a striker, or a world-class striker, might just hamper Chelsea a little. But look, I'm just glad that I'm talking about chasing a league title, sitting up in second, rather than chasing top 4 this season. But big up Dark Sun G, brother.
What would be really funny about Aubameyang is if he does go to Chelsea, it's win-win either way for us, because either he's a failure and Chelsea wasted their money, or he does really well and it pisses off Arsenal.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I think Eddie will have a lot to answer if that is the case, and Arteta as well. But look, we'll take this from Richard Blackdog, and then I do want to move on. We've got 2 talking points left, and one's that I love because one is about my favorite person in the world. Or sorry, no, sixth favorite person in the world after my mother, father, sister, and Harry Kane, etc. Don Paratici, and then I do want to talk about Kane as well. But Richard Blackdog said we've an attacking three that would get in any team in Europe. QE might, but Dyer and Davies definitely not. I love him to bits, but I think 2 quality centre-backs minimum required. Honestly, worry every time we're under attack. Big up the boys. Come on, you Spurs. And look, Shawnee, you've a cup of tea. I'm sure there's been some sugars in there, so you're re-energized. Let's give Richard Blackdog your thoughts, and then we'll let Kuva in on it, and then I want to move on.
Yeah, listen, I agree. Look, we do have one of the best attacking lineups in Europe for sure, and we've got a front 4 now with Richarlison as well. Wherever.
You okay?
Who's turned on something? It's not Sean.
It's not me.
It's not Kuva. I think it's Marcelo, but it's grand. It's gone now anyway.
I think that's. I do think we have a great front 4. We've got great options. I think Lucas is a really good option as well. I think Brian Hill might even be. We were talking about this earlier. I think he could be something that offers a little bit different if he hangs around. Up front, I completely agree. We've got options. We've got the ability to score bags of goals, but the defense is a problem. I personally don't think that Davies is as bad as a lot of people do. I like Ben Davies. My dad and I fall out every time I speak to him about Ben. He absolutely despises Ben Davies. He thinks he's the worst centre back that God has ever, given the gift of a Premier League career to. But I don't think he's that bad. I think he's relatively solid in the air. I think he's better. Obviously, he can't play left back when he gets put into a back 4. He's absolutely atrocious. And I think Eric Dyer is also okay. I think he's good enough, but he's not what we need. He's good enough for where we've come from to what we've got to. He's been a part of that. So has Ben Davies. We can't shake our heads and, in my opinion, resent the effort that these players have put into their Tottenham careers, because they have taken us to the position that we're now in, which is almost the promised land, the chance to go on and to create magic. But I think that the time has come for them to be the always starts. Has to be an end now. I'm happy for them to be relegated to squad level status, to sit on the bench. If there are injuries, for them to come in, they can do a job. But I just think that I'm with Richard Blackdog. I thought it was Richard Blackwood there, but Richard Blackdog. We need at least one. I don't think we're going to get 2, certainly not this window. But the difference, I agree with what Marcelo was saying about if you can't get it done this window, save some money to make sure you have it for January. But I also agree with Kuba that if there is somebody that's top quality that does become available, then pull the trigger. Don't haggle. Just get the job done. Get the deal done. Whether that's a Skriniar or somebody else, I don't know. Get someone in right now, because we need reinforcements. It's clear Romero's got injury problems. So, big up, Richard. And I agree with you 100%.
Big up. And Kuba, I mean, what's your thoughts on what Richard has to say and what Sean had to say on Richard's Super Chat here?
The front 3 are obviously great. I mean, whether getting to every team in Europe is debatable, of course, because there are some bloody good players out there. Man City, for a start, get their work cut out getting into that team. They wouldn't look out of place if they came on for a City team. Yeah. Anyway, as for the other part, this is the bit I definitely agree with. Dyer, Davies, when we're talking about trying to improve for going for league titles, no chance are they good enough. No way in hell. They worry me every time we're under attack as well. They've had some good games, but you look how much help they need around them to actually function. How much work the likes of Højbjerg, Bentancur has to do. How much work Bissouma's going to have to do to protect shield that back. Yeah, and the game's all about synergies then as well. If you haven't spent that much of your time protecting your back line, you're not getting forward as much as you can be. So they actually hamper our attacks. You've got to get quality in. It's at the end of the day, it's always the one word that keeps going up that we haven't done enough of: quality. It's all well saying we've got 8 players coming in. If only 3 of them are good enough to make a difference, it's not a great window for me.
Really? I disagree.
It would be a great window if we get a couple of players in now.
Three quality players in. I mean, I disagree. I think three quality players
under normal circumstances that would be a great window. But we needed so many players this window.
No, but hold on a second. We said the same thing about last window, right?
Yeah.
When 3 quality players isn't enough, but we went from 6 to 4. Yeah. Which is 3 signings. So like,
we scraped it though, didn't we?
No, we scraped it. But hold on a second. We had tons of problems before that. Look. The fact that we even got top 4, the fact that
the gap from 6th to 4th is a lot smaller than the gap from 4th to 6th.
But we have Conte. It's the time to do it.
Yeah, but we also had Nuno in the beginning. We had a lot of problems. We had a problem with managers. We had a lot of issues. We didn't really become stable until Conte came in. And then in the January window, I'm hearing echo. Am I the only one that's hearing it?
Go on. You're all right.
Okay. Yeah. But I thought we were the only one I was the only one, me and David, that said that the January was a good window, that Bentancur and Kuleveski, they're good signings, and they would improve the team. And people are saying, oh, that's not enough for top 4. Well, it was, right? And I think we've improved the squad enough to the point where we have a lot more strength, in my opinion, than we have weakness in this squad. I think we have good depth. I think our attack quality is very good. We have a lot of experience players. We have a lot of players that can change the game. We have a lot of players that can develop and become really good in the future. I think, like I said, Bissouma, Richarlison. Let's see how Spensko, Longley. I think we have a lot of quality that can come in and really help bolster the team. And I think our only weakness is really that, in my opinion, that center back role. I think we need one more center back.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any reason why we can't get one?
I've already explained it to you. We did try to get him. He declined it. He didn't want to come.
Yeah, but there's plenty out there. I mean,
who would you like, though, Coop? Who would you like?
Yeah, who would you like?
Right at the moment, let's think about it. What about lad at West Ham had a great game the other day. Forgotten his name.
Yeah, but Conte doesn't want him.
Not thinking of any because I'm not expecting to get any. I mean, we missed out seriously on the likes of Botman earlier in the window.
But
Bremer as well. We might not have got him anyway. Yeah, there's some may not be available.
Well, we tried.
The opportunity was there. I think we fucked up a little bit with our centre back search. We put all of our eggs in the Bastoni basket, almost like Man United put all their eggs in the De Jong basket. And then De Jong didn't end up coming, and now Man United are going, well, now what the fuck do we do? And now they're going and trying to find. We spent too much time trying to convince Inter to allow that thing to happen, and it didn't happen. In the meantime, Sven Botman went elsewhere. De Ligt went. De Vries probably, I don't know what's happening to him. Milenkovic has now gone and signed another contract, right? So there's so many players. Guardiola signed a new contract with Leipzig. There's so many players that were available at the start of the window. Well, we had our eyes on the prize, and then we ended up not getting the prize, and everybody else took all of the other scraps. I don't know how many great players are left.
I think there probably is an element to that, to be fair. I do think we did put our eggs in one basket, maybe took our eye off the ball. But look, what I will say, I will caveat that with Paratici is famous for lining up 6, 7, 8 players. Now, what I do want to add is I don't think it's for the lack of trying and getting in the centre back. I think we have tried. I just think the targets we've gone after maybe aren't available right now. And I'm hoping if we don't get it in the summer, we hold out to January. Would I be happy with that? Probably not. But then again, in another aspect, I'd probably be happy that we are identifying a number 1 target and not just settling for 4th, 5th, or 6th best on the list. But Richard Blackdog, brother, really appreciate the support. I think everybody agrees with you, my man. Would be nice to get in 2. Well, look, 1. I mean, all I want is 1. 2 is probably getting greedy, my man. It's not Easter. 1. But I definitely want 1, brother, anyway, for sure. But big yourself up. But I agree. I think our front 3 would get into most teams around Europe. I think Romero will probably get into most teams around Europe. Dorian Davies need improving on. But and look, like you, I go red every time we get attacked on. I mean, I'm just ready to grab my blood pressure tablets. But big up Richard Blackdog. Really appreciate the support, my man. Now, look, guys, I do want to move on and talk a bit about their Paratici's rebuild that nobody's talking about. And Shawnee, we'll start with you on this, my man. Leonardo Gabbanini, that is the new chief scout. He is the latest addition of a major backroom revamp that is taking place under sporting director Don Paratici at Tottenham Hotspur. Greta Steinson has joined us in capacity of performance director, basically replacing Steve Hitchen. And we also appointed Rangers scout Andy Scalding. These appointments have been happening very quietly all summer. It's not being spoken about. Paratici is delivering on his promise, which he said last season, to transform Tottenham's scouting department in order to compete with Europe's best. Now, compare it to the past where Steve Hitchen was responsible for all of the departments that Paratici has made hires in. Are you happy that now that Spurs have now starting to identify, hopefully, experts or specialists in various departments instead of just one man in charge of it all? And is the fact that Spurs are making all these hirings now under Paratici where they didn't before under Hitchen, is there a change of mentality at how Spurs operate behind the scenes as well?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I don't know obviously too much about this guy Gabbanini, and apart from what I've read about him, he was a Watford scout, and before that, I think he was at Udinese, which maybe makes sense why we've gone after that guy Udogie. I don't know too much about him. I don't know too much about the other fella, the ex-Bolton player, Greta Steinson. I mean, Greta Steinson, another guy, right? Like this guy's movement in the last fight. He's only 40 years old. He was at what's the club? Some non-league team for 5 minutes. Yeah, like a non-league team or a lower league team for 5 minutes, and then he's just pushed up and up through his career. He was just come from the Iceland setup or whatever as well. He's like in the last 3 years, he's gone from like bang, 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 five months here, 5 months there, and now he's at Tottenham. Now, either that is to somebody who's just absolutely excelled at his new role, or it's another punt. I don't know. I've got no idea what these guys. I don't even know what a performance director really does, right? But so I'm not going to be able to give any insight apart from to say that it's great that clearly Daniel Levy, when he took Paratici in, clearly Paratici's come and given a vision and said, this is what's wrong with all. He's come in, looked through the whole ecosystem and gone, this place is rotten with too many people doing too few things or too few people doing too many things. And this is the reason why you failed with your youth development. This is the reason why you failed with your signing of young players like Jack Clark and then not turning into anything. My vision is this. I want to have ex-players of the highest caliber like Jermaine Defoe, like Yaya Toure coming in, being able to help the young guys come through. Let them learn their trade as coaches at the same time as they can rub off. And whether it's going to work or not, mate, it's going to take 2, 3, 4 years for that whole kind of the cookie to crumble there, and we'll see which way it goes. So it's too early to tell for me, but I like the fact that there is a clear vision. Sorry, mate. Yeah.
I was just going to say, Sean, do you think any of them identified the likes of Udogie, Spence or anything like that? Do you think any of them, that recruitment is down to any of them?
Yeah, well, I think the Udogie ones, like that Leonardo Gabbanini, he's literally come from Udinese, right? He joined in May, so. And he's probably his first part of that was probably to say, look, there's a kid at Udinese who's top draw, and he's already in the first team, well ahead of his time. In terms of Jed Spence, I don't know when the Jed Spence thing looked like that whole conversation started way back in the season when he started to make waves for Forest before these guys came along. Who knows, mate? Listen, I don't know how much value I can add to this conversation apart from just from my take. I just like the fact that Paratici's come in and gone, this is what's wrong, in my opinion. This is what's needed, in my opinion. And Daniel Levy's gone, all right, then, let's do it your way. Let's see what happens. And that, to me, can only be a positive thing that Daniel Levy has taken a giant U-turn on his previous model. Whether it works out or not will take years to figure out. But I like it. On paper, I like it, but I don't know what else to say about it.
I agree with you. I like the fact that we've... Look, it was something maybe Kuva alluded to earlier on, past failings and stuff like that. I just hope the fact that, Paratici is coming to rebuild, because Steve Hitchen put this club in a right mire. Look, I know he didn't need any help, and stuff like that, but he's the players he brought into this club were way below par standard of what should be coming in at Tottenham and stuff like that. But I mean, Kuva, would you agree with what Sean is saying, that it is bright, it is good, that we're rebuilding the whole network? Or do you just think, like you said earlier on, you mentioned Baldini, I mean, do you think we could be going down the same route as before?
I think Sean summed it up beautifully when he said, I don't know. I don't know anything about these people.
Yeah, I have no idea.
The only thing that's promising is that Paratici's obviously said, look, this is just bullshit. Get rid of it all.
Skolden was responsible for a lot of what went on at Rangers over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, look, it's a case of I just can't judge it. We need to wait and see, don't we? You're going to see what's really happened over the course of 3, 4, 5 years. Get a flavour of what's been happening at the club. All I'm pleased of is that something is changing, and there is turmoil because turmoil was needed because we were doing the same thing over and over again, and I don't know if this is going to be another sort of full storm Baldini moment. So far, it looks pretty promising. So
they clearly have one in the future. Like if you look at the players Paratici signed when he first got here, Papa Massard, likes of Gill. If you look at like Andy Skolden, what he done at Rangers, he brought in a lot of good young, decent players there. Gabonini, you look, we were after signing a Doge. Nicolas Molina, I believe, was with Udinese as well, who people really highly rated. And then when you look at us bringing in like Yaya Toure, Defoe, for the younger guys, and then also Simon Davies, who was brought in as head of methodology and stuff like that, and basically overseeing the whole academy. Does it excite you that there looks like there's future or planning for the future, so that hopefully this academy can maybe start producing more players?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who's followed football and doesn't know Yaya Toure is coming in? Yeah, the rest of them are people that we already know at the club. So there's a bit of continuity going on there. I love the fact that JD's coming back. I think he's just one of these infectious enthusiasm sort of players that just personalities in general you want around the place.
He's really Spurs. You can tell he loves the
absolutely.
Club, you know,
top bloke in every way.
Yeah. So I love it too. I love that Ledley. We got that crew with Ledley King, Dawson. I think it's just having those people. Having someone like Yaya Toure with, a Premier League winner, one of the best midfielders, in the Premier League, a top player. He can really help some of our youngsters, can really help a lot of our players in the dressing room. I think Paratici is really doing a full rebuild at Spurs. I think we're really seeing a full rebuild, and it's going to take some time. And I think that's, like I said, Conte understands that's going to take some time. Because
that's why we hired him.
It's almost... So in a way, you can kind of liken it to or what a lot of us have said for years. We've always wanted the Ajax setup, where the ex-players come in, form the committee that appoints the manager. If we're doing it in this sort of format, it's all the members of staff are all ex-players. Well, majority are. It's a good thing. It's continuity. It's the traditions of the club, the values of the club. When the staff know it all, then it flows down to the players. They get it through. That's what we're talking about when talking identity. That's where Levy was so off the ball, in my opinion. Yeah. When he's talking about, the club's DNA. He didn't know what the DNA of the club was because it was changed every 2 years.
And one thing I'll say, it's don't be surprised if also the medical team, if they start screwing up this season, don't be surprised if they go next season. This guy, this Don Paratici guy, man, I'm telling you, he is ruthless. He is cleaning the dirt at this club inside out. You know what I mean? You got to look bigger than just players. You got to look at the infrastructure we're building in this club, man. This guy is bringing top people.
Infrastructure is so important, Marcelo.
It's super important. It's the most important thing. Yeah, look at I think
they brought in Tixi from Barcelona and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Look at the infrastructure they've built there and the success they've had because of it.
David, a lot of people, when I say this, they like to think I'm an Enoch lover. You know me, I'm not an Enoch lover. But I will say this. One thing Levy has done well at Spurs is keeping at least a somewhat sustainable infrastructure. You look at United is like the opposite of that. They have terrible training ground. Their stadium is old. Gary Neville was pointing it all out. You know what I mean? And now they're getting older players and everything, and they're falling apart. You just really see Man United has just more bigger problems than just quality on the pitch. It's also just quality outside. Everybody around the club is just bad. And then when I look at Spurs, it was starting to become like that with Steve Hitchen, with some of those people, with those the scouting. But then seeing these new people coming in, seeing this a more like consistent philosophy around the club, that's what I want to see. That for me is positive signs. And if I'm seeing that and I see we slowly building to that, I'm going to be positive all day long.
Yeah, I agree. And look, for me,
it's back to that word quality again, isn't it? off the pitch as well as on it.
Yeah, off the pitch and on the pitch. That's the most
the
important
infrastructure is so important. Look at Barcelona, the people that brought Man City, the people that brought in from Barcelona for the transfers to set up the infrastructure in the club. And look at them now; they're absolutely flying. That's what we need to get to. The infrastructure, as much as the players and everything else is important, it's also very, very important to have the right people off the pitch. And like you said,
Exactly.
Kuba, having the know-how around, people that's been there, done it, that could pass on their experience, the little tricks of the trade, stuff like that. But with Paratici also bringing in people that are responsible for their jobs, for their positions, and put all of this stuff in place. Dark Song G says we have great quality now. Don is fixing what Hitchens messed up terribly. He brought in absolute dross, and only Pierre-Emile Højbjerg was his success. Don needs 2 or 3 more windows. Look, I would even say I'm going early. I think Paratici has been better in his short time here than what Steve Hitchen was in his time here, if I'm being honest. I look at a lot of the players Steve Hitchen brought in, nowhere near good enough. I look at what Paratici's done in the space of 1 year. He's took us from, well, a year and a half now. Well, no, 1 year. What he's done is he's took us from Europa Conference League to Champions League. He helped get the Conte deal over the line. Look at the quality of players he's bringing in here compared to what Steve Hitchen brought in here. For me, it's complete night and day. Look, we all asked before Paratici was hired, get someone in on the football side of things that know what they're doing to rebuild the whole footballing side of things at Tottenham Hotspur. And that's what Don Paratici is doing so far. I think another 2-3 windows, people will probably be sitting there with pictures on their wall of him and stuff like that because he's going to do such a good job, Dark Sun G. But for me, I don't even think he needs the windows. I think you look at the turnaround in the squad alone and the turnaround we've had at Tottenham in a year, I think it's been night and day. I think it's been massive.
Yeah, just to add to that about Paratici and Steve Hitchen, Paratici has easily done more than that guy. I mean, how many Steve Hitchen signing started on that Southampton game? I can tell you, 1. It was Sessegnon. No, 2. My bad. It was Sessegnon and Højbjerg. That's about it. How many Paratici signing played yesterday? We've had Romero, we had Emerson, we had Kuleveski. We had Richarlison that didn't start, but came in off the bench. We had a lot of players. We had a Bentaker. We already have players, recent signings that it's already on the first team. We keep saying, oh, we got to get players that just get on the first team. We already gotten those players. A lot of the players we've gotten have been on the first team. It's just almost like we don't see it. It's almost like we forget. But we've had a lot of new signings, a lot of new starters.
Yeah. Big up Dark Song G, brother. Really appreciate it. Go on, Johnny.
I'm seeing in the chat there's a big debate about the depth of the squad, right? If you were to use an analogy, like Manchester City's depth is like as deep as an ocean, right? They every wherever they go, they've got 2-3 players that can play in every position. They're like a mile deep. Whereas other clubs, or maybe you could argue like Tottenham last season, we were as deep as like a puddle after a light drizzle out on the street.
That's being kind.
Okay, fine. Yeah, we got 0. We were like an inch deep, kind of. You barely get your feet wet, barely get your socks wet if you stepped into it. Where are we now? Are we are we on a swimming pool kind of scale? Have we got depth? Are we?
I wouldn't say a swimming pool, but I would say a nice puddle.
A nice puddle.
I say a nice deep puddle, but I wouldn't say a swimming pool.
We're still nowhere near the depth of the big teams. No?
I think if we sign a quality center back, right, like a top center back, and maybe have someone like Davies kind of be one of our depth players, right, one of our squad players, and I think maybe if we sign, a top right wing back, right, but that's so hard. I mean, there's no right wing backs in the market right now. But if we sign someone that just hit the ground and running, then I would say our depth is incredible. Like we have a swimming pool. But I would say right now, I think we have good depth. I don't think we have terrible depth, though. I don't think it's shocking, like some people are saying. Some people are saying it's shocking, it's terrible. I think Lucas is a good squad player. You know what I mean? Sure, he's not gonna get you 10 crazy amount of goals, but I think he's a good squad player. I think Richarlison is going to be very good around rotations. I think Skip coming back will be fantastic. I think Basuma coming back, Basuma getting in the team would be fantastic. We're going to have 4 midfielders rotating. I think Longley, don't count him out yet. I think he can be a good signing.
I think Longley will be good. I think, especially I want him for Wolves. I was saying this earlier, weren't we, Dave? We need him. We need him as the ball playing defender now. if
my
can't do it. Yeah.
My biggest worry though is that kind of right wing back, because although I say Spence could be a good signing, it's more of hope. Because personally, I don't rate Spence.
We have no idea.
Yeah, I don't rate Spence as highly. Like I think when I see Perisic, it's like it's almost a sure thing. When I see Basuma, I almost feel like it's a sure thing. But with Spence, there's doubt.
Well, big up Dark Song G, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. Top man. I have two more I want to get to, but first I want to bring up Sava's comment here. Sava, I'm going to have to politely decline on this request. I will be calling him Don. Look, the reason why I do it is, look, we were going through a period where everyone that was coming to Tottenham, people were putting them down before they've even got here. So I decided I'd break that trend and I would start praising them before they got here and I'd start bigging them up. So for me, look, I'm going to call him a Don. You don't have to. You do not have to, but I will, and I will keep.
I'm calling him a Don.
Sorry, Sava. I have to politely decline on this. Has he failed to get any of the Deadwood out? I mean, Sean, you did allude earlier on. You maybe had slight opinions on this, and then I want to move on to the last thing, which is Harry Class A bloody Kane. But sorry, Shadi, go on, have your quick say on this.
Yeah, listen, I genuinely think that, as much as listen, I agree with Sava to an extent here. I think that Paratici hasn't got rid of anybody. Now I know that the market's tough in Europe, right? That basically all of Europe is financially, unbelievably underwater. So it's difficult if you can't find players to come in and or clubs to come in and pay for them. But this constant kind of merry-go-round of loan deals where they go out for a season and they come back, it absorbs all your time the next year. It's just you're kicking the can down the road. And then you have another problem with Ndombele next summer. And you have another problem with Lo Celso next summer. You have another problem with all the players. Some of the young players, I'm fine with going out on loan. But the players that we're desperate to get rid of, just get rid of them. I'd rather just, get rid of Ndombele, let him go for £1 million. Just let him go. You're not going to get any money back for him. So, I don't understand the benefit, really, of making him come back next summer.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, sorry. Go on, Marcelo. You go on, and then I do want to put out a question back out there to Shawnee just quickly.
I was just going to respond to that. I think with these loan, with options to buy, it's kind of a way to let's say Lo Celso performs well at Villarreal. Maybe
he did last season.
Yes, but if he performs well again, it might prompt Villarreal to spend a little bit more money than we normally would get for Lo Celso. Same thing with Ndombele, because we have to at least try to get the maximum value for them, right?
Yeah.
I
just think what's the benefit, right? I understand that logic. I understand the mindset of it. Just on the off chance Ndombele suddenly wakes up one day and goes, "Oh shit, I'm playing football and my career is only 10 years long. Let me actually try and make something of it." Just on the off chance that happens. I understand it, but at the same time, in all likelihood, it ain't going to happen. And there's an opportunity cost. Next summer, it means that you're still going to have these depreciating assets on your balance sheet. You're still going to have to spend months talking to clubs about players you'd rather not picking up the phone. It's like what I do for my job, cold calling businesses. I don't want to fucking do that. Cold call. Do you want to buy a Ndombele? No. Why not? Well, that's a good reason. Do you want to buy Ndombele? No. Why not? Oh, that's an even better reason.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you guys a question?
You're annoying.
Are we being a bit harsh on Paratici on the outgoings? Because we also have to remember the players he got rid of last summer. If we're going to judge him fairly on the outgoings, talking Gazaniga, Jack Clark and Carter Vickers are gone this summer, where we've been loaning them out for quite some time. Dele Alli, Danny Rose, Musa Sissoko, Joe Hart. Alderweireld ended up going out as well. Serge Aurier. So he did get rid of a lot of Deadwood when he first came here, I think. And I think it's important to note that as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Good point.
I think what the club sees is, I think they see potential in Ndombele, not at the club, but potentially in other clubs. I think they see, what if Ndombele goes to Napoli? It's a slower league. Maybe he does well. Maybe he hits and run, and Napoli really likes him. They spend $30. 30 million. Not $30, 30 million. You know what I mean?
It's never going to happen.
But
when we gave him to Leon last summer for whatever it was, for free with a 60 million quid option. That's an irrelevant, unnecessary contractual offer. No one's going to pay 60 million quid for him. They ain't going to pay 30 million unless they have to. Right? I'm not even sure that's actually in the final deal anymore.
It is a business. It is a business at the end of the day, and I think when you see something, you can maybe get maximum value of, I think it's worth trying to get the maximum value out of the player. Yeah. I mean, regardless, he's gone. You know what I mean? I think, yes, he's going to come back next season, but and it's going to be annoying to, maybe sell him, but who knows? Maybe we can improve our chances.
I've got a solution to all this. It's such a good one as well. It'll make loads of money for the club.
It's called Paratici.
What we need to do is get all the dead wood together. We'll go over to, say, just some abandoned industrial estate, put them in brightly coloured jumpsuits, and then chase them around with maniacs with chainsaws, tasers, and flamethrowers, and remake The Running Man, and then sell it at a great profit because people would lap that up.
Yeah.
But look, guys, we are going for 2 hours, so I do want to take these super chats. Are you okay to stay around for an extra maybe 15 minutes to talk about Harry Kane before we end up?
Yeah. I'm okay.
Perfect. Brilliant. Faz Radfire says, I don't think Paratici would target only one person. Look, we know he doesn't. All the reports that's been out there about Paratici, we know how he operates. Many fans were giving out about the frustration of how he operates last season. Oh, we're linked with this guy, linked with that guy, that guy. Paratici usually has 2 or 3 people, maybe 4. I've heard sometimes up to 10 options. Now, look, we'll wait and see, but that's the way he operates, Fazzy boy. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Dark Song G says, I hope the new scouting teams looks at personality. Look, this is a big one, and I said this time and time again. Sir Alex Ferguson, who very rarely you would say got his recruitment wrong. He looked into the personality, the type of player he was signing, the type of human being he was signing. You sign a good human being who lives the life the right way, it's going to reflect on the football pitch at the end of the day. So we've got as much as looking at talent, etc., you also have to look at the person, because you look at likes of Ravel Morrison, Adel Tarat, people like that, Paul Pogba, I'd even throw in there, all the talent in the world, but their attitude prohibits them from going on reaching the heights they should. So I definitely agree with you there, my man. And then we'll take this one, guys, and then we are going to move on. No, we got one more, and then we will move on. Dark Sun G says, a puddle. I would say a small pond for our depth. This is why I said the Don needs 2 to 3 windows to turn our depth into a river at least. The Don got rid of so much deadwood in 1 year. Bobo, which is Aurier, Sissoko, Delhi.
Big up Dark Sun G. I just want to say big up Dark Sun G.
Go on, Marcelo, you could take this.
Big up Dark Sun G. Thank you. We got rid of so many players. I've been saying get rid of Serge Aurier for so long. That guy, he had terrible attitude. Walking out before a game finishes. What does that say to a team? When the chips are down, go. You know what I mean? That's what it sends. That's bad mentality. That's toxic. You know what I mean? I look at this Spurs squad, right? I see good personality. You know what I mean? I look at a lot of our players, even the ones that maybe are not good enough, like, for example, Emerson, right? I look at Emerson, I'm like, yeah, you're not good enough, but damn it, you're a likable guy. You know what I mean? Isn't that much better than Serge Aurier, who was not only crap, but also extremely unlikable? You know what I mean? Just always, walking out in games, always causing scuffles, always saying these controversial stuff.
Walked out at Liverpool at halftime, didn't he?
Yeah, walked out at Liverpool at halftime. Always saying, controversial statements, winks, always saying these controversial. Like, if you're going to be crap, at least be a likable person then. You know what I mean? Like, at least don't be an ass.
Look, many people criticize the signing of Emerson, but what I will say is you can't forget how much Serge Aurier used to cost us alone down that right-hand side. That stopped, I would say, in my personal opinion, since Emerson has come in here. We haven't leaked as many goals down that side as we were with Serge Aurier. But look, I agree with Dark Sun G. I think, look, if you're looking at what he's done this summer, okay, you might look at it and say, is he as good as getting out players? But you've got to remember the players he had to get rid of last season to even have a chance of having a window that we've had so far at the start of this summer and stuff like that, even operating in January and stuff like that. So I do think it's a bit harsh to say, look, he doesn't have a great track record of getting out players. But I do think it's harsh to say maybe he hasn't got rid of enough, because at the end of the day, Lo Celso and Ndombele were always going to be hard to sell. I would more put that on Steve Hitchen than anything for the money we paid, the wages we paid him. That's on Steve Hitchen. It was always going to be hard to get rid of them. But I do think when I look at the squad, when I look at the players that I used to watch running around, Sissoko, who couldn't even get a ball in control, Winksy, who's still here, to be fair, Dele Alli, who was finished for 3 years here, but yet people are telling me, no, there's still a player there. Now he's over.
But here's the difference, though. Here's the difference, though, David. I'm sorry to interrupt. Winks is here, right? Winks is here. But is he saying anything in social media? Does he have a voice anymore at the club? He doesn't. You know what I mean? Like,
Harry
one
Winks.
thing. Yeah, Harry Winks doesn't have a voice anymore in this club.
He should not have been banished to the kids training or whatever it was. I think that's so disrespectful. He's never been unprofessional.
No, he has been unprofessional because
we don't know that though.
No, hold on a second. I will say he has been unprofessional because when he's playing like crap, he's saying shit to media, saying how he should start and how this and causing disruption in the dressing room. You know what I mean? That is unprofessional. If you're crap and you're playing like crap, don't go to the journalists and complain about wanting to start because you want to play for England. Start playing better. You know what I mean? Did you see Emerson Royale go to journalists and say, "Oh, I should start at right wing back"? Paratici.
Well, I've done enough on Harry Winks for 2 years now. I'm not about to make the last bit of this show about Harry Winks. I want to make it about the great man himself. Big H, Harry Kane. But Dark Sun G, brother, really appreciate the support, my man.
One quick thing to say about squad depth, though, is it depends. You view it how good your depth is depending on what your objectives are. If you're looking to compete for the league title year after year, our squad depth is shit.
Well, look, take this one from Sabotage Spurs. Yes, depth. However, quality and depth are two different things. We can't say we have great quality of depth when we have holes in the 11. I mean, go for taking away.
That's it. That's just what I said. Yeah, that's it. Condensed.
We flattened the curve, though. Like last season, we had whatever we had as our first 11, and then the drop was like bang, and then down here for everything else. Now, at least, it's more of a gentle slope. It's a blue run on the ski slope.
It's a warming disappointment now instead of.
It's an abject nastiness. Yeah.
But look, I think you and Sav are kind of right on what you're saying. Like, are you measuring depth to what we had last year, or are you measuring depth to what we're trying to catch up with Liverpool and City? Do you measure what your objectives are? So, look, I think that is a fair point. But look, Sava, big yourself up, my man, and really appreciate support. Sean Couve, anything else you want to say to Sava before I move on?
Spot on, Sava. It's like my second favorite YouTuber behind me.
You mean third behind me as well, lad? No, I'm only messing.
Yeah, but, Ireland's best Spurs support.
Ireland's number one. Everybody remember that. Ireland's number one. But big up, Sava, my man. I really appreciate the support. And it's true. Quality and depth from depth are two different things. I mean, I agree with that. We had depth under Jose Mourinho, but the quality wasn't there. I will say, though, I do think if you compare the window we've had this summer compared to the one where we had 7 under Jose Mourinho, I think we've had a much better window this time around than what we did under Jose Mourinho.
It's a forward trajectory. That's
yeah. Yeah. I hope everyone agrees with me. If not, I've opened up another landmine. But look, we'll take this one. We've got one from Rob Wallace, and then I want to talk about my baby, Harry. Dark Sun G says, remember, Giovanni Lo Celso can be sold in January if a team gives an offer to us. That was a clause in his loan. That is a good thing to remember. Fair point to remember. Deal with your smart. Please, thank I do well in Napoli. The Don ripped off many clubs. Clark, Stevie, Cameron Carter, Vickers says, oh, on Hart. Marcelo, this is more along your lines. Yeah, take it away.
Yeah, no, I agree with Dark Sun G. You gotta try to get the maximum value out of a player, and if you can, and if that means by loan and taking a risk and seeing if you can do well at the club and getting good money for him, then you got to take it. You know what I mean? If it doesn't happen, then you know what? We deal with it next summer. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We'll deal with it next summer. But I think if you can get a good value for a player and that could help us get a top player in, I don't see it being a bad business. I don't see it at all.
Yeah. Look, everyone knows how I feel about Don Paratici. He knows himself. I'm his number one promoter. He's number one fan. Look, I think we've done good business. What was it? 8 million for Cameron Carter Vickers? Or in and around the same, I think, for Clark. More or less got back what we paid for Stevie Bergwijn. Look, just getting rid of Sissoko was genius and getting rid of Hart as well. I mean, the only reason we bought Hart in here was because apparently, to get cricket up and going in the dressing room. Seeing cricket videos when we're fucking losing pisses me off. I mean, keep that shit in-house. Last thing I want to see is a shit sport being played by a team that are playing shit on the football pitch. And look, thank God we're not seeing that anymore, Dark Sun G. I mean, that's got to be a huge plus, right? Big up the Dark Sun G, and also big up the Don Paratici. And then we'll take this one here from Rob, my man. Big up, Rob. And Dark Sun G, you've been on fire tonight, making great points, brother. Absolutely on fire. And Rob Wallace, big up, my man. Tuning in all the way from New Zealand, says, loving the show. Big up, Hannah. But big up, my man. Really appreciate support. And hopefully everyone else is in loving the show. If you are, you guys know what you need to do. smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Also, get out, check over Shawnee's channel, Spurs Talk Show. Get over, check that out. And the Three Spurs boys for Kuva as well. He's over there once a week, so check that out. But Rob, big up, my man. Now, it's time for my favorite part of the show, Harry Kane talk. I mean, it's the best thing in the world. I think we'll all agree, lads, right? Yeah,
is nobody going to tell Marcelo?
Tell Marcelo what?
Oh, shot his
Marcelo,
yeah, I'm gonna have to shut. Yeah, I'm locking my thing. Hold on.
Okay, no worries. Take your time. Take your time. Well, look, guys, everybody, today marks 10 years of Harry Kane in the Premier League at Tottenham Hotspur. 10 years, 284 games, 184 goals, 43 assists. And we'll start off quickly with this one because a bit more I want to get into. But we'll start with you, Shawnee. Sean, favorite Harry Kane memory or memoir, shall we say?
I think obviously, if I'm being sincere and honest, I think you either got to pick the Arsenal goal against 2016 or the Chelsea goal that year as well. Both of them were fantastic when he jinked inside against Chelsea at home and then dribbled across, May's dribble, and then potted it into the bottom right. But as a bit of a light-hearted one, I got to say the halfway line against Juve in 2019 into the International Cup in Singapore, when he scored from the halfway line. That was
a friendly goal.
That
was a good goal. That was good.
The halfway line against Juve. Halfway line, Naeem. Kane from the halfway line. Superb stuff.
I would go with the Arsenal one, the goggles, or I will say, because I loved Coke, I can't have it anymore because my kidney stone, but I loved Coke. I loved Harry Kane. Seeing him kick that Coke bottle in front of me when I was at the Brighton away game it gave me an absolute raging hard on. But Kuva, I mean, what's your favorite Harry Kane memoir?
It's 2 consecutive games put together for me. Remember when he was chasing Lukaku for the Golden Boot and Lukaku was odds-on favourite? And then Kane bags 4 goals, follows it up with a hat-trick against Leicester and then Hull City, wasn't it? Or was it the other way around? And he just came from nowhere overtaking it. And he was like at his lethal best. Everybody in the team was just making sure he got the goal. And it was just bang, bang, bang. 7 goals in 2 games. Unreal stuff. But then... I suppose individual moments, that Arsenal goal, the bend on that perfectly into the far post with the Phantom of the Opera mask on and everything. It's just an iconic moment. But absolute top for me, the 2 goals against Chelsea in that 5-3, because that game for me was so damn enjoyable because it was Chelsea above all else. And it really took everything out of them. I mean, it was actually quite a good game. It was closer than it could have been. Both the quality of both of those goals for different ways. The deft touch of control on the first one to get away from his man and find the space to bend in a shot beautifully, far corner, and then the strength and just shrugging off players like they don't even exist. It was like trying to catch a wild horse or something. Impossible. And then just smashing it in the other bottom corner. It's just like that game. Brilliant.
If I was reading a porn mag on Harry Kane, I'd definitely get you to write in, my man. Talking like that is filthy towards me when it's about Harry Kane. I love it. But look, Marcelo,
that's awesome.
Look, everybody knows how much I love Kane, so they'll understand. They'll understand.
Boy, have I got an audio for you, mate.
Look, it's nearly past midnight. It's nearly the time. Send it over.
I'm not sure if that West Country accent is going to quite get my juices flowing.
Well.
Who are
Oh, stop. You're sick. You boys are sick.
Who are you?
Marcelo, what's your favorite Harry Kane memoir, man?
I think you got to talk about that curler against Arsenal. I mean, that one is just it's probably my favorite goal of all time, honestly, for Spurs. But I will say honestly, I think it was that Man City game last season. I think that Man City game, that was just Harry Kane. I mean, I think we saw every aspect of Kane. I think that's my favorite memory of him. But also the Brighton one. I think last season we've had some of the best memories with Harry Kane. And for me, it's almost like I fell more in love with him last season because we were so close to losing him. You know what I mean? We were so close to losing him, and just having that feeling that he was so close to going away and him coming back and, him, starting slow, but then finishing so strong. I had great memories with Harry Kane last season. Some of the best I've ever had with them at Spurs. You know what I mean? I think that Brighton one, the Chelsea one, fantastic. I mean, there's so many, but I would say that Man City performance. It's probably the best performance I've ever seen.
Right at the end as well. I mean, I was absolutely. I love nothing better than a last minute Harry Kane goal, especially when it's Harry Kane who scores.
It was brilliant. I mean, you couldn't ask for more.
No, you couldn't. But look, guys, I do want to move on to. We're still talking about Harry Kane. I'm not sure whether many people agree or disagree with me, but I do think Harry Kane is scapegoat. So look, we'll start with Sean on this, and we'll go to Cuban. Back to you, Marcelo. But Sean, when things aren't going well for Spurs in a match, it does seem that Kane is often scapegoated for the team's performance. While there might be others on the pitch who need to step up their performance, it does seem like Kane is often the one that is most ridiculed, in my opinion. Do you think Kane is too often scapegoated when Spurs are playing poorly?
No, I don't, mate, if I'm honest. I think that it goes with the territory of having, he's your best player. You know, you expect him to step up and you expect him to always find it. Just like there's a lot of best players that are head and shoulders above everybody else. In, you know, if Wilfried Zaha has a bad day for Crystal Palace, he's going to get criticised, but he's going to get the plaudits most of the time. If Harry Kane scores a goal or 2 goals in a game, it doesn't matter whether they were tap-ins or not. He gets the man of the match, right? It goes with the territory.
He gets the headlines.
He gets the headlines for the good and for the bad. So I think personally, he is I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's one of the best all-round kind of forwards in the game. I think he's brilliant. He's one of the best. He could be one of the best midfielders if he happened to just change the number on his shirt, right? But I think that I don't think he gets unnecessary criticism or scapegoated. I think that if I'm honest, I think that he gets the right amount of praise and the right amount of criticism for somebody in his shoes, with the expectations that come with someone who is paid the most at the club and who gets all the plaudits and all the laudits when everything goes the right way for him. I think it's just part and parcel of being the superstar.
Interesting. Look, I do. Me personally, I actually do believe he gets scapegoated. Anytime we lose, I'm looking on channels and listening to the fans and listening to like people on talk shit and stuff like that. I actually don't mind talk sport, to be fair, but I often think he does get scapegoated. You know, it's like anytime we don't score, we don't create chances, people are saying, "Oh, Harry Kane this, Harry Kane that," and it's like, well, look further back. People have to create him the chances. He's the furthest up the pitch because he scores goals. It's up to people to create him the chances. I think people were very, very quick to turn on him with the whole City thing as well, not realising what he's done for this football club. Even at half-time, I've seen it against Chelsea. Nobody wanted to talk about Son giving away the ball fucking 15 times in 21 minutes. But everyone was sitting there going, Kane's been shit, Kane hasn't done anything, blah, 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 blah. Well, it was
Sonny was getting a lot of shit as well.
I think Son. I'm going to disagree with you. I think Son gets more.
No, let's be real.
Son gets way more abuse when Harry Kane.
No, when Harry Kane, the whole thing was going on with City. Son fans came out of the woodwork, and every single week, and boys, do not deny. Maybe Sean wasn't around, but you and Cuba were around. No, and people used to come on late on the show with me, and people wanted Sonny, and people were telling me Son is Tottenham's most valuable player. Bullshit. Harry Kane is. Harry Kane gets scapegoated every single time at this football club, in my opinion. But sorry, Marcelo, go on. Tell us why not.
But hold on a second. That Man City one, you're leaving a lot of context. He deserved all that backlash that he got. You know what I mean? He was being he was
very imperfect with the way he handled it.
Very unprofessional. You know what I mean? He let his brother do poor business, and then he got salty because of that poor business, didn't show up in training, and then he kind of left at the club at kind of this free flow where we don't know if he's going to go, we don't know whether he's going to stay, we don't know what's going on, we don't know if he even wants to be at the club. He doesn't talk to the fans, skips training, causes whole drama. So of course we're going to look at Son and we're going to be like, you've been loyal to us, right? You haven't been doing this to us. We're going to applaud you, right? Like he deserved, don't like, let's be fair. He deserved
after that, the amount of people that were coming out saying Harry Kane needs to be dropped because he doesn't have pace like Son. Harry Kane needs to be dropped because of this. Harry Kane needs to be sold. Harry Kane this, Harry Kane that. It happened. We cannot deny it. You know, I was sitting there on fan shows.
Well, he scored one goal.
Do you think he gets?
People
Do you
come
not
on
think he
5
gets the
hours
same
into
shit
the
though that?
back, sit there and
Sorry,
talk
mate,
about
sorry.
Harry Kane, just to talk about Harry Kane and tell me why he should be dropped, why he's finished, why he's over the hill, this, that, and the other. But what people don't want to talk about is the sheer amount of goals and assists this guy gets us season in, season out.
David, I'm gonna be honest. I for someone that looks on Twitter, from my personal view, right? I can only talk about my personal view. I'm not saying it's fact, but I see more Harry Kane praise than I see Son praise. Son, who got a golden boot last season, was asked to be dropped for Bergwijn, was asked to be benched. People were saying his form was horrible. You had people like Henry Wright, TV. He was talking about Son being dropped. There's many Tottenham places that wanted I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but in other channels, a lot of people were talking about dropping Son, in which I participated in. There was a lot of channels in which I watched that was talking about maybe dropping Son for Bergwijn, especially when Bergwijn got those late goals and for Leicester. People were
Are you offended? Are you offended by people asking for Son to drop for Bergwijn?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, so was I when people were saying to drop Harry Kane because he doesn't have the pace and put Bergwijn up front. So it happened for Kane as well.
Well, yeah,
but I didn't see that narrative.
You guys think that that Kane gets as much divisive noise amplified around the community as people like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg or Dyer or Davies?
Sean, in my chat at the weekend, I can only speak about my chat, but the whole chat was Højbjerg Kane, Højbjerg Kane, Højbjerg Kane.
Well, Emerson,
I disagree. I think Højbjerg.
Not about Dyer or Davies. It was all Højbjerg Kane, and because
Kane had a bad game up until the 95th minute, right?
Huh?
Kane had a bad game up until the 95th minute. He scored the winner, right? Scored the leveler, yeah. But until that, no, of course, but I'm not. I've never once made the argument that Kane.
Stop it.
I've never once made the argument that Kane should be sold. I actually thought that his behaviour at the start of last season or in the summer
and his performances. Don't forget about
and his performance was definitely affected by it.
Still finished the club's top scorer, man.
No, of course. But I will say this one thing, David. I think our fan base does need to learn a little bit about backing some of our best players, because even though once Kane decides to stay, he has my backing. Once he decided to stay, even when he was performing bad, I was going to other channels and I was like, this guy has brought the best football I've seen for 5 years, and you guys are gonna stop backing him after a few bad performances. I think the fan base should kind of
are they stopping
show
backing
a little bit more loyalty?
Marcelo, you're paid 10 million quid a year to play on the highest level in front of hundreds of millions of people worldwide. If you have a bad game, it's okay to have bad feedback. It doesn't mean that people suddenly don't love Kane. It means that they love him so much, they expect so much from him that when he doesn't deliver, it's okay to say, "Hey, Kane, you had a bad game today."
Sean, no, that's not what we're saying, though, Sean. That's not what we're saying, though, Sean.
Is the very far few in between. Very far. Kane is going to have an off day. People have to accept that. But he has less off days than anybody else at this football club.
I agree with David, but I don't think Kane is the only one.
Why can't you call out an off day when it happens?
We can't. No, hold on a second. I disagree with David where you can't criticize someone. I think fair criticism. I thought Kane was poor at Chelsea. I'll say it. I thought everybody was poor at Chelsea. Even though he got the goal, I thought he was overall poor.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting involved in the game.
Chelsea were better than us every position, so every player should get some criticism for that.
But I hear people after Son or Kane have a bad performances. Sometimes I see people, maybe we should drop them. Maybe we should. I mean, are you crazy? Are you come on now? You're gonna drop Son or Kane? You know what I mean? You gotta get.
Are we really spending time talking about a minority of fans who have flip-flop opinions?
It wasn't a minority, though, Sean. I think, look, from what I've seen, especially, and I can only speak for myself because I streamed a lot at the time with the Harry Kane thing, and I was getting caned. Sorry for the pun, but I was getting caned left, right, and centre. I mean,
for backing Harry Kane during the Man City ordeal. Yeah.
The whole chat was full of it. Even after the whole Man City ordeal, even after going into the season, the whole chat was full of it.
I think it is the minority of the fans.
Come on to me, the fan shows used to go on 5-6 hours because people were just coming on, arguing with me about Harry Kane. But I had the last laugh.
I think it's a lot of minority.
I think it's more of a society type thing now.
Yeah,
people want instant gratification.
Yeah,
people want instant gratification. So if a player performs badly in one game, drop him all of a sudden.
Exactly.
There's no patience. What I'm really, really worried about is the likes of when Skippy gets back into the team, people having no patience for him if he has a bad game, because that's like the future of the club. There's likes of Skippy coming through, and if our fans take up that attitude with him every time he has a poor game, he's going to get destroyed before he gets anywhere.
It depends. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here. Are we talking about trending themes, or are we talking about just reviewing people's performances? Because if we're saying Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Decky, whoever, like players that we've all grown to love as being influential because of their exploits in the past, that means that they are devoid of applicable criticism or critique. No, I think we come to a place where there's no meritocracy. Like, you have to be able, you should be able to raise your opinion and say, Kane wasn't good enough today, and it's disappointing because usually 9 times out of 10, Kane steps up on the big day. I know he did in the end, but for the previous 95 minutes, he wasn't there. Sonny, second game on the bounce, and following a pre-season of disappointment from Sonny, we're starting to go, what's wrong with Sonny, right? But it's not because we suddenly want Sonny to leave the club. It's because we're frustrated that our talisman, the guy who usually gets the job done, isn't performing. It doesn't mean that we're turning. I'm not hating on Sonny, but when I ask the question, is it time to maybe rotate and give Richarlison the start against Wolves and then let Sonny come off the bench on the 60th minute? Like, let's just mix it up. Let's give Sonny a little gentle reminder. Hey, bro, your position is under threat. It's not guaranteed. You are one of the greatest players at Tottenham, one of the most favourite players at Tottenham. But let's be honest, your form has dipped. Maybe let's just switch it up. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that we're like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think.
No, I don't.
Well, I think if you've got to put it in context, though, haven't you? Because first game against Southampton, we banged in 4 goals. It was a cakewalk anyway. Didn't matter at all. It's only because it was then followed up with against Chelsea, who were magnificent against us.
Yeah.
And you can't really say, it's entirely down to our players having bad games there. Chelsea had just got a game plan. It worked. Yeah. So our front three was shut off. Now, the thing I have the problem with is then you get people saying, Sonny, Kane, they started the season really badly. No, there's no context applied to that other than that they hadn't, scored goals and played at their absolute peak. So I think people are too quick to jump on the bandwagon just saying, give them a rest, drop them from the team. It's like, if you see that trend continuing, say against Wolves, if it continues, you start getting worried because now it's going on a few games.
Yeah, but at some point, whether it's for Saturday or whether it's for the Forest game or the West Ham game, at some point, if Sonny's form continues to be a little bit underwhelming, at some point, if someone like one of us raises the question to put it to the panel, is it time to give Richarlison his start? Who gets dropped?
True,
probably Sonny. That's okay to ask, right? That's not a problem to ask, is it?
No. I'm not saying anything like that. I mean, critique performances or ask can they be dropped all you want, but honestly, I'm only speaking from my experience from doing YouTube, and even before YouTube, keeping a close eye on channels, chats, forums, etc. And I've seen it. Kane gets massively disrespected for what he's done at this football club. That's just my opinion on it.
I think that just comes. I think that just comes with the territory of being the biggest player in the club. I agree with Sean. I think. Listen, when I see it with Son as well. I think when Son scores 2 goals, everybody's saying he's the best left winger in the league. He's world class, this and that. And then when he has 2 games where he doesn't score, right? Like Son was asked to be dropped last season, but Son didn't go more than 3 games without scoring a goal. You know what I mean? In the Premier League.
It's like the reverse is sometimes true as well. I mean, I've never been a Højbjerg fan, but there's occasionally a performance he puts in, and I think, you know what? I don't like him, but he did pretty well there.
Like, I'm a big Højbjerg fan, but there's some performances where I would say, you know what, man, I think you could be rotated a little bit. I think
it's okay to do that.
I could see maybe why Basuma could, people want to see Basuma play. But I think when people say, Højbjerg is crap, we got to just sell him. He offers nothing to the club. I'm like, well, hold on a second. You know what I mean?
I'd also like to shout out there is in Australia, there's a phrase called tall poppy syndrome, which is often leveled like at players or at sportsmen who do well. And it's like a societal thing where they almost want to take you down. Like, as soon as you step up, they want you to, once you fail, they want to chop you down a little bit because they want to bring you back down to earth and then hope that you go through a tough time, go through a poor performance. That everyone's going to get on your back and then see if you can rise again and grow into a stronger flower than you were before. It's not, I think, not a phrase we use in the UK, but in Australia, this conversation would be referred to as tall poppy syndrome around Harry Kane.
I just believe you shouldn't criticize Harry Kane.
I agree.
Anyway, maybe I should have rephrased it for Kane and Son, but from my personal opinion, from what I've seen, and look, Marcelo sees it different. I presume it probably comes down to what areas we're in. You know, Marcelo.
Well, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I personally like even though I'll say like, oh, I think Son and Kane had a bad game, I'm not gonna have a dig at them. You know what I mean? I'm never going to have like a dig at Kane and say, oh, he was terrible. He should be dropped. He's the worst player ever. It's just like, no, like, come on. That's just silly. You know what I mean? It's silly.
Yeah. Look, that's just my personal opinion. I just wanted to see what other people think. Now, I do want to talk lastly about the Kane contract situation. I'll just take these few super chats. We'll talk about the Kane contract situation, and then we will end off. Faz Rafar says, should we use Spence at least once in the next 3 games? Look, I don't believe so. You've got Emerson there. You've got Doherty there. And for me, I think it's a bit of a chance. I think it's a chance you can wait until an early League Cup game, put him in there and see what he can do, Faz. But for League One, especially while Liverpool have dropped points, I think it's a bit of a risk. He also says, my favorite Kane moment is the 96-minute goal versus Chelsea. The one just gone. Absolutely loved that, my man. Favorite moment was Cutie Romero pulling him down by his head. It was absolutely brilliant, pulling down Coquerella by his head. But big up, Faz Radfar. That was a nice one last week. I enjoyed that. Dark Sun G says, Kane 2022 scored 2 last-minute headers versus top 4, Chelsea and City. Look, I do have, people do accuse Kane of not being a big game player. I mean, you look at some of the goals he scored recently up last year. He scored against City, Liverpool, Chelsea. You know, some of them have been winners, some of them have been equalizers. So I think that's something you can't look. You want to talk about cup finals? I'd say nobody's turned up in cup finals. Nobody from 1 to 11. So I think it's hard to argue that just that Harry Kane. But I think, he is a big game player and he does score big goals. And then Dark Sun G also says, David, I think fans wanted Kane dropped at the point because he wasn't fit and ready because of the City drama. But they can't cut down Kane. His only bad is pace. Look, what I will say is we can say he wasn't fit and ready. He's the one that scored the winner against Wolves, come off the bench to do it. He still ended up the club's top scorer across all competitions. And stuff like that. And at the end of the day, we can all label it at Kane because the goals weren't going in. But I dissected that at the time. What crosses were going into the box? What balls were going over the top for Harry Kane to even get on the end of? Nothing. The goals Sonny were scoring at the time were just individual brilliance. But we weren't creating chances. So to label that at Harry Kane, I think, again, it just kind of backs up my point. If you're not creating chances for a striker to score, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? He can't do it all himself. He has to make these runs, hold people off and everything else. He's relying on good service. If that's not coming in, you can't label that Harry Kane. Look, I'm not going to deny and say he didn't look chunkier last year than what he does this year. Of course he did. But we weren't creating chances under Nuno. But yet everybody scapegoated Harry Kane for it. And I don't agree with it when we weren't creating chances anyway. And everyone says, "Oh, we didn't create under Nuno," but then blames Harry Kane for it. He can't set up the goals and be in the box at the same time. He's not Flash Gordon, and that's my point. One or the other. But I do see what you're saying, though, Dark Sun G. Look, pace.
I think he could possibly do that one day. I think he might be able to cross the ball in such a way if he loops it perfect and then runs. I think he could get on the end of it. That'll be the all-time greatest goal ever scored.
That'd be nice. If he does that, he's going, I will never let anybody ever criticize the guy ever. But just to round it off, you're talking about the guy that's joint top scorer for one club in the Premier League, joint Premier League all-time goal scorer. He scored 17 goals under Conte, 7 versus Big Six teams, 2 against Arsenal, 2 against City, 1 against Chelsea, 1 against Liverpool, with 2 of them being winners and another being an equaliser. So people who say he's not a big game player, pipe down, please. 3 goals behind Wayne Rooney for the all-time England goal scorer, most goals at European and World Cups for England. 17 goals behind the great Jimmy Greaves record for Tottenham's all-time scorer. Most away goals in the Premier League with 95, breaking the record with 100 less fewer away games than Wayne Rooney. So, and he's Tottenham's most prolific European goal scorer as well with 44, 21 clear second place. Jermaine Defoe on 23 goals. So that is Harry Kane's stats. So no one can tell me he's not world class. But big up Dark Sun G. Really appreciate your support, brother. Now, guys, last thing I want to touch on.
Huh? 10-season wonder.
Well, yeah. You know, one season wonder is what they did.
Listen, you can't. My last comment on this is you can't talk about wanting to win titles. You can't talk about wanting top 4. You can't talk about wanting all these big things without Son and Kane. Period.
Yeah.
Done.
Absolutely.
And just quickly, if anyone else has Kane stats, put them in. I'll read them out as we go along because there was a list of about 15. There's too many for me to take down. But Sava says here he has a 64% goal ratio for Spurs. That's just ridiculous. So if anyone has any more, please feel free to put them in the chat.
I'm pretty sure he's got the number 1 haircut to goal scoring to games played, triple threat ratio. Every time he scores on a new game, he's had a haircut. I think that's there's no player in the Premier League history that's had as many haircuts and then gone on to score goals.
David would know.
Oh, I would know. Look, I mean, I know what hair products he uses as well. Just get it bouncing in that wind when he's galloping across the turf. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It's got the right amount of bounce and volume to it. But look, we'll start with I'll just throw it out there. We can all just have a go hell for leather on it. This is the last question of the evening, guys. As we know, Kane has 2 years left on his contract. Well, it's less than that now because of the start of the season, but he has come and said he is very happy at Tottenham under Conte, and it's been reported that both parties, him and Conte, are not actually in a rush to push an agreement at this time to get their contracts renewed. Now, from Kane's point of view, why has he not signed a new contract? And we'll start with Kuva on this one, or even in a rush to yet. Do you think he could be holding out to see if we get close to trophies this year, or is he holding out to see if Conte signs a new deal?
Bit of both. I think if Conte signs a new contract, I think Conte will make up his mind after January if he's going to stay after the summer. Even if he decides to go, I think he'll stay until the summer and just run out his contract. I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Kane's waiting to see what happens there, because if Conte goes, it's only backwards from there. We're going downhill. Is that going to be a final straw for him then? Thinking, well, we're never going to be getting this level of ambition that I have. So they're intertwined, I think, these decisions. Conte is also probably thinking, I need the reassurances of Sonny, Kane, Romero, all these players staying there. And I need to get these players in on a consistent basis. Maybe he is okay with the transfer window as it is. Maybe he is happy to being told there'll be some additional players coming in January. Perhaps that is all part of the plan. I think it is very much intertwined. And I do think the moment one signs a new contract, the other will. And I think we're all kind of saying that, aren't we?
Yeah, I really do hope so. I think we tie these two down to their futures. I mean, it only bodes well for Tottenham. But Shawnee, maybe from the club's point of view, it's a situation we really do need to get resolved before January, really, because it's our last chance to sort of get big money for him in that January window. Because, because in the summer, when his contract has 1 year left on it, his price is halved. His value will go in half. Sorry. Why do you think the club is not in a rush considering the amount of goals he scores? And they know Bayern Munich have put out saying they are admirers of Kane. So they're kind of circling around on the outside.
Yeah, it's a tough one, mate. I mean, again, who knows what's going on behind the scenes? To me, I agree with everything Kuba said. I think it's one doesn't sign without the other. Both parties are probably waiting to see what the other one does, but it's a chicken and the egg, right? Like, who's going to sign first? Is Conte going to sign? Well, he's already said he's not in any rush to sign a new contract. And if that's the case, then why would Harry Kane sign a new contract? So, obviously with Conte, there's no residual value. You don't get any money. Like Conte's contract's going to run down, and you either, if he stays and he gets fired, then it's like a reversal effect, isn't it? You pay money if you break the contract rather than selling him on. But with Harry Kane, it is a problem. What we haven't really, all we've heard is that that there's positive, or they're up for it, but there's nothing really positive or concrete about it. I wouldn't imagine that Tottenham would sell him in January anyway. Can you imagine? God forbid we have a difficult first half of the season, or God forbid Harry Kane come back from the World Cup and someone's got into his ear somewhere. I can't imagine we're going to sell him. I think if he doesn't sign a new contract, we'll probably run the clock down on it anyway. It'll just be one of those really expensive. Well, not really expensive, but real opportunity cost in trying to realize value from him. I just hope it gets sorted out sooner rather than later. If there was no more, hey, how about this? If there was no more signings this window coming in, but Harry Kane locked himself down to a 2-year extension or a 3-year extension, would that make the window a 9 out of 10?
We'll let Marcelo answer that. Go on, Marcelo.
Can you repeat that question again?
If there's no more transfers that come in this summer,
Yep.
but Harry Kane signs an extension on his deal to turn it into a 4-year contract or whatever, 5-year contract, would that turn the window into an 8 or a 9 out of 10?
You know shit.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Are you kidding me? That'll be a 9 out of 10 window. Getting a Harry Kane renewed contract. We just renewed the contract with the best striker in the world. How's that not like the biggest? I mean, I would take that over a marquee signing. I would take Harry Kane staying here for 4 more years. I would take that over Bastoni. That's how crazy I am about that guy.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm not sure.
For me, like I love Bastoni, but like we can find other left-footed center backs that can do his job.
You can't
but
find
I
Harry
don't
Kane.
think can't find a Harry Kane. You can't.
Yeah.
And Cooper, what's your answer to Shawnee's question? Because you shook your head.
One goes with the other. Make a quality signing like Bastoni. Harry Kane will sign a new contract anyway.
Yeah. True.
It's getting to that evening, the part of the evening where we go around in circles. So we are going to end. Guys, first of all, I want to personally say thank you to Marcelo, Sean, and Cuba. I think it's been a real good show. Many different opinions. And we set a good example of being able to disagree but do it respectfully, which is brilliant to see, because sometimes these hot topics can get hot and wild sometimes, and it's not nice to see Spurs fans falling out with each other. We need each other. We don't have as many as some of the big clubs, so we need each other. And hopefully to you guys out there tuning in, I have lived up to my promise and delivered a whopper show this evening. And thank you to you guys out there for tuning in. But Marcelo, I mean, where can people find you, brother?
At Tagangsta25. I might be changing the @ soon. I think it's getting a little bit old. I might be changing it up, mixing it up a little bit, but I'm trying to think of a name. But that's where you can find me. You can message me on Twitter if you want to discuss. More than welcome. Just no personal questions. Strictly football.
Don't be asking where he lives.
Yeah. Don't be asking weird. I get some weird questions. I've gotten weird questions before. I'm not gonna answer those. Just stick to Spurs, stick to football, or even I'm okay with banter. I have a good conversation. If you want to talk about working out and stuff like that, I'm okay with that. But don't be asking me all this.
No worries. Well, look, Marcelo, thank you for coming on today, my man. I appreciate you, brother. It's been a pleasure.
No problem.
Shawnee, tell him what's coming up, brother. Spurs Talk Show.
Spurs Talk Show is where you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. On YouTube, I've got it penciled into a show tomorrow, but I've got to take my dog back to the vets to get her stitches out. Poor Bugsy.
Oh, no.
And it's routine, but I didn't realize the time of it, so I might have to reschedule that show. And usually I do watch-alongs, as well as other shows during the week. And obviously, starting as of today, we just did one earlier. Me and Dave have got a weekly show, which we're still trying to figure out the name for, but it's Thursdays at 6 p.m. I'm not doing a watch-along, I don't believe, this Saturday because I'm going to the Wolves game, although I've just found out that there's a tube strike. So how am I going to get to the bloody game? I have no idea. I might have to drive up there. But
you don't afford a private plane, lad. No, out where you are. You're out in the States. Surely you have a private plane somewhere around there, hidden under the trees.
Yeah, I got a little like one of those ones that you throw. And
I'm sure
so that's where you find me. Find me at Spurs Talk Show. Yeah.
No, I love it. Everybody, please do check out Shawnee's channel, Spurs Talk Show. He's been a breath of fresh air ever since he got into this community. So, guys, get over there, smash the like button and the subscribe button as well. And plus, you see me over there once a week, especially with the new show. So get over there. And we are looking for new names for it, so feel free to put them in underneath the comments of that video. Last but not least, Kuva, again, thank you. I got in contact with you on short notice, so I appreciate you being here, brother. But where can people find you?
As usual, Saturday night at Bob Spur TV for the crazy show of the week, where there's very little football gets talked except for the beginning of the show. Then it descends into drunken madness that for people that are drunk and don't want to go to bed yet. So it gets a bit X-rated. In terms of dialects, but that's where the silliness is. Other than that, Sunday nights, I'm on with Bobby K, just doing a little hour-long show on Sundays. It's Coov and the Kang, but it's all part of the Three Spurs Boys channel, which you will know very well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I have big time for Bobby Kane, the two young lads as well. So, guys, please do get over there. Check out the Three Spurs Boys interviews with Alistair Gold and everything else over there, plus Kuv and the Kang. So get over there, smash that like, smash that subscribe button, and let's give them a nice push. They're nearly at 500. Let's try and get it done for the young lads over there. But, guys, it's been a pleasure. Everybody has enjoyed the show. Massive thank you to everybody who's tuned in, who's liked, subscribed, and for the support today. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I've really enjoyed this. Hopefully you have too. You want to talk a bit more with me or engage a bit more with me, get your comments in underneath. Maybe not this evening, but tomorrow I will definitely reply and we can have a good conversation. If you're lucky, you might catch me up late this evening. And anyone that's watching back, there is a team called Super Tanks. You don't have to, but feel free if you want to. If you feel the need, if we've triggered you enough to put in a support or a thank you, feel free to use that Super Thanks. But guys, we are out of here. I will see you all back here tomorrow. It's time for me to change mentality, get into pump up mode because the Wolves are hungry. It's time to feed them. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Bye.